your safe space for talking about UFOs, UAPs, NHI, disclosure. It's getting hot in here. A lot of drama. We took a couple of days off, and the whole UFO community went to complete shit. We're going to see if we can solve it today and untangle this mess. But we're going to need some help. So shout out to everybody in our chat. Thanks for being here. I see Lost Reaver Films is in here. Beth. Hi, Beth. Who else? Dana's here. Wrath of Conteven is here. Cosmic Serpent. Brian Jackson's in the house. Great to see everybody. And we also have two of our three returning champions, our panel. Once again, Dan is playing Tekken 2 with Keanu Reeves. He couldn't be here today, but we have Xander and Pavel. Hey, guys.
Hi.
I
don't think we can solve it, by the way, but
don't worry.
Talking about it.
We'll solve it. We'll sort it out. Don't you worry.
Hey, how was Comic-Con, Pavel?
A little frustrating, to be honest with you. It was really cool that I got to have dinner with Alan Levine, who got me the tickets. I had dinner with Thomas Jane, who said hi to everybody.
Hey, Tom.
It was really cool. And I did make it to the Masquerade Ball. The problem is that the 3 days that I went, doing the line to cross the border took way longer than I expected. So I didn't get to really walk the floor. So for next year, if I get a chance to go again, I think I'm getting an Airbnb and just staying there because it was really frustrating, that part.
What did you get to see the Spaceballs thing? Were you there for that?
No. And we did cosplay and everything. I went as Luffy from One Piece, and my wife went as Frankie from One Piece with the blue hair and everything.
I saw some of the pictures. That looked like a fun trip.
It was really cool.
How long was that drive for you? How long does it usually take?
If the line is normal, it takes me just an hour to cross, which is not bad. But in both Friday and Saturday, I did 4 fucking hours, bro. Each day. God. It was horrible.
All for love of the game.
But I still had fun. And I really enjoyed what I told you that I did enjoy. Alan gets on a cosplay, and man, he's a real expert in that shit. He went as Superman the first day, Jor-El the second day, and Spider Noir the third day. Wow. All amazing costumes. Yeah.
Xander, how you doing, man? Good to see you.
I have a confession to make. I almost deleted all of the night shift music by accident.
What?
I was cleaning up my MacBook to try and get it ready so that if I were to get a new machine, I would do that transfer and I'd have a nice new clean machine. So I archived a load of stuff. Yeah. And one of them, so the intro that we actually use is not the one that's on Spotify or Apple or anything, because it has your voice in it. And I can't have, Clint saying, "Welcome back to the night shift," like the one that's on Spotify. Yeah, so I have my own version, and that I actually did delete that. Luckily, I found the original project. The original.
It sounded a little bit different, didn't it?
I don't know, but it sounds fine. I guess.
a little bit louder.
Yeah. I did turn up louder. A little bit. I cranked it a bit, but yeah. So that project as well isn't even called Sport Model. It was a project that I made for you the first day we spoke. So I just called it Cutaway 1 or something, not knowing what I was about to make. And yeah, it was just so lucky. I was about to give up, and I just opened this project, and there it was.
I love that song, dude.
Don't ever delete it.
It was a bit scary for a second there.
That's why you have to press a vinyl. Still have to do that.
I know.
Make a physical. What do you guys think? There's not going to be any more physical media. Have you been following this?
I mean, we already have a fucking Baal AI robot over here, so nothing would surprise me anymore. Did you guys see that, by the way?
Oh yeah, the Centaur.
Yes,
that's some scary. That is the scariest looking thing I've ever seen.
Oh yeah.
Can you imagine being in a building that's on fire and that thing comes in and kicks the door down?
I just sent you the image. I uploaded it. You can display it if you want.
Wait, where is it? Is it in there?
That looks friendly. Couldn't they have painted it like? Couldn't they have just like painted peace and love on it or something?
Nightmare
or, like,
fuel on
bedazzle it with something.
Attach a sign to its chest saying, "I'm not going to devour your soul." That would be useful.
Oh my gosh.
Jesus.
dude.
That's
Start
terrible.
Enough, do me enough. That's good. I love it.
Wow. And it's got a chainsaw in its hand.
Yeah.
The horns just seem unnecessary to me. Like that's and the creepy eyes, chainsaw. Ooh.
I don't know. Is it supposed to live in the wilderness and thus not scare the other wildlife?
And what if someone's riding on it? Can you ride on it? Jesus
I
Christ.
think Justin wants to know how does it wear pants, in which position, because that's the debate. That's the real debate.
Few
the
options
universal.
there.
Oh my god. Well, no, is it? What was the thing? That Sony said they're not going to make physical media anymore, right? Aren't they going to stop printing?
Yep.
All their games. Was that a Comic-Con announcement, or was that just a press release?
No, it was just I think a week before Comic-Con it happened. Initially, a lot of people complained about it, and they seemed to reverse the decision, but I don't think they did. Which, you know.
Well, quick audience poll. What do you guys think? Should we do away with all physical media, or do you guys want to go back to DVDs and 4K and
I
or,
love
or just
collecting stuff, man. This
Me
is like
too.
A kick in the balls for me, man.
half the fun of working in the media is having physical media as an end product that you can feel excited about when you create something. And it's like opening the vinyl and see and the smell and all the pictures and the ink and the print and the color.
They're not killing an industry, they're killing culture itself, I think.
The thing is, like, I created some leaflets for an episode on the Dreamland Motel a few weeks back, and I could have made it just in like Mid-Journey and then like animated it and then shown that as a video on its own, but after I had the thing designed and then clicked order and had to wait for them to arrive, and the fact that I have 25 when I only needed one, like, I just love that. The fact that I've now got like a stack of like just useless stuff that is just a memory that I have every time I look at it.
Do you guys think that there's going to be a backlash? I mean, there's already a backlash against a lot of the AI stuff and the AI slop. But do you think there's going to be a return to a simpler way of just doing things, like a more human way, and that's going to be emphasized more? Like people are going to be desirable of physical media.
I certainly hope
we're going to return to that.
I think it's possible we will have the equivalent of off-grid livers.
Yeah.
So off-grid meaning in the future will probably just be no AI. Like, we are not using that at all in our lives. Like, some people go cold on social media and they say it helps them in so many ways. And I think there'll be a large community of people that just say, nope, I'm kind of done with AI.
I was thinking about, like, I watch a lot of movies on Tubi, a lot of like old B movies from the 80s and 90s, like sci-fi stuff. And I love it. I like movies that are so bad they're amazing. It's almost like, because so many people came together to work on a project with passion and intensity, that even though they might have known it was going to be silly or stupid at the time, or maybe they didn't, they still worked on it, and everybody put something into it. And then at the end, you get this thing that's sort of like a cult movie, or just something really creative and unique, but it's made of the collective effort of this huge group of people, all makeup artists and costume designers and prop people and painters and whatever, musicians and actors. And then compare that to today, just like an AI short film, or an AI, even I think Neil Blomkamp just put out an AI film, and I didn't care to watch it. I didn't even look at it. There's no excitement because there's no there. And I feel like people are going to want that again. They're going to go back to that.
I think people are going to want to wait for good things are worth waiting for, and the video, like, if you can create a really good short film in a day, whereas it used to take months to do even a short film, and now you can do them in a day, and it does lose its value because there's less poured into it. There's less time. Time at some point it becomes should be the most valuable thing we have.
I think that if AI solves some problems, these that we're talking about should be last in the list. First, stuff about medicine and all this stuff that is very important. Those innovations are the ones that have the potential to not everything goes to shit. Let's put it that way.
Hey, wouldn't it be good if AI just took control of all the stuff that no humans want to do? And then it would free up all the time for us to get on with the stuff like the art. And we could all become artists. I bet there's some incredible artists. Yeah.
Right? Wasn't that that was the whole promise of all of this stuff in the beginning, was like, when we're done, everybody will just sit around and make cool shit all the time because there won't be anything left to do. But that's the first thing they want to take away. What do you think of this idea? I don't want to get too far ahead of the AI stuff because we're going to do that later in the show. But just real quick, there's a pretty strong argument to be made lately that because these things have been trained on all human input, that they should be collectively owned by everyone. There should be just some sort of like the government should at least own a 50% stake in all AI companies, and we should all have shares in that somehow.
Well, that's
to spread it around.
They've tried to. I believe they're still trying to do that in the music industry, because obviously Suno was trained on back catalogs of record companies who own the rights to the music. So, I mean, it's funny because it doesn't feel like the record companies are really fighting for their artists. They're fighting for like their stake in it. Like, of course they are. Like, they're only really bothered about AI being a problem when it starts to affect their bottom line. But yeah, they're taking Suno to court over exactly that. The fact that Suno has taken advantage of their catalog, essentially.
Well, I just remember the whole transition over to digital downloading in the beginning, right? I used to work at a record store when I was in high school. That was one of my jobs. And watching that after in the early 2000s when Napster came along and people started downloading stuff, and that changed the way music was consumed. And the whole thing at the time, CD burners, I remember the first CD burners when they came out. And the whole thing was like, don't steal music because you're ripping off these artists and they deserve to get paid. And this is an important thing. And if you do it, you're a criminal. And it was this huge cultural deal. And now these AI companies can just take everyone's music, and the record labels don't seem to have much to say about it.
The record labels have gone quiet because they're doing it themselves now.
Yeah.
They're signing virtual artists at this point. So it's kind of fair game now. They've seen like, okay, if we just join
no regulation. Yeah. That's what you get.
Wow. That's exciting.
Yeah,
we're
at 17 minutes past and we're already at Doom.
We're already at Doom. Go to doomerfriday.com/vote, by the way, guys, if you want to chip in and vote on our Doom meter. I don't have the URL pulled up, but
I have it
now.
I have
doomerfriday.com/vote. What are we at right now? We're at Doom
just
Factor 1
right now.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
Oh,
no Doom. That's you.
Yeah, it's sunny outside. It's 72 degrees. Doom Factor 1. There's little white puffy clouds. And a butterfly just landed on my nose. This is great.
I'm drinking coffee right here. All
got
good.
Coffee. So let's talk about the elephant in the room. Lue Elizondo put UAP Gerb on blast yesterday, and it was, for those people who didn't see it, it was a pretty intense video. He gets very animated. He recorded it in his truck, pulled over at a gas station, and he pointed at the screen, and he got really intense. I would say there was a threat in there, but it depends, I guess, on how you hear it. What'd you guys make of that video?
Xander?
I probably shouldn't go first with this. Pavel, I think you're good to go first here.
Should we show a clip before?
Yeah.
Pavel,
Nice.
I've heard that Elizondo can be a little bit loose with his copyright claiming.
Yeah.
Especially
I don't think we should.
Especially if the content isn't exactly in his favor. Like I'm not assuming we're gonna trash talk the guy. I'm actually not going to. But
I don't have an intention to just beat Lue up for the hell of it, but let's just play a clip so people understand, they see both sides of the story. His whole video is like, no one called me, no one asked me, no one got my opinion, so I'm putting this video out there. So let's show it just a few seconds, and then people can see. Hang on, I've got it pulled up.
And hey, as well, if we get a copyright strike, we'll just tell everyone.
We'll just tell everybody. Yeah, here we go.
And then if he wants to keep the copyright strike up, that's entirely up to him.
Exactly. There you go. Here we go. Let's see. Share.
Ulterior motives.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. Hold on.
All right. So just
There's
so people know
stuff already on the screen. Sorry.
Right,
there we go.
He is responding here in this video to an interview that UAP Gerb did on Ross Coulthart's show on News Nation. What was it about now? About a week and a half ago, give or take. Something like that. It wasn't that long ago. And in that interview, UAP Gerb laid out some things.
Are you asking when it was recorded or when it was published on News Nation?
I think it's when it was published, so people can.
When it was published was a day before Lue's video came out.
Was it only a day ago? I thought I saw it before that.
But when it was recorded is during the Disclosure Forum event. And I'm sorry about the dogs. Something's happening outside.
That's okay. All right, here we go.
Is the copyright coming to strike you?
To try to go ahead and create this soft, then by default you're saying that the sissy itself.
Here, I'm gonna just start at the beginning.
Howdy folks, Lue here. As you can tell, I'm in my pickup truck and I'm hauling, and what you can't see is a substantially long trailer, almost 50-foot flatbed. For those of you who might not know, I have made a permanent move to the Washington, D.C. area. And I'm still in the process of collecting my things and my items.
Can you pause there a little bit, or are we watching
Mm-hmm.
everything?
No, just pause.
This was the first thing that I noticed, is that he said he moved on a permanent basis to Washington, and Gerb said that he already had the job, right? Which was something that we are also kind of heard about a couple of weeks back. So essentially, he already has this job, probably. What do you make of that?
Oh yeah, you don't move unless you've got the job.
I mean, you don't. What do you move to DC unless you have to? Like, it's a bit like London. Like, I wouldn't move to London unless I absolutely had to. I wouldn't move there out of choice. Is DC kind of the same?
I mean, if you're coming from your survival compound in the American upper Midwest, is that where he's at? Yeah, to relocate to DC, I think you do it only if you have the job. I'm surprised he's driving it. It's interesting, but okay. Let's carry on.
Disclosure is a full-time commitment for myself. I'd like to discuss with you a few things for these short moments. Forgive me, I am at a rest stop right now, so I'm not driving, but I do have to get back on the road. I would like to talk about the NDA, the non-disclosure agreement, that everybody thinks that the president has just somehow magically waived, and now we don't have an NDA anymore. It is true that the president signed a presidential directive that has not been yet made public, so we don't know exactly what's in there, and I applaud that effort. I think it's fantastic. It's a great move forward. The problem is it doesn't alleviate us from our NDAs. What it does, it alleviates us from our NDAs from discussing this conversation about UAP with none other than who? Arrow, which, as you know, I already did. Spoke several times with Arrow. And unfortunately, at the time, Sean Kirkpatrick, the former director, didn't do a whole lot of good with that. Secondly, we can also talk to Pursue, which I may already be talking to elements of Pursue. But unfortunately, it has not alleviated my ability to speak to the general public. And this is why it's important that the U.S. government really push hard to continue to pass legislation so folks like myself, the whistleblowers, can come forward and have that conversation, not just internally within the U.S. government, but with you specifically.
So far, right there, how do we feel about it? What are you saying?
Xander?
I don't have any feelings yet. It's more when he starts to talk about,
yeah,
you know, the interactions and stuff that he's had with Gerb.
But he's already said, I'm not going to talk to Arrow because I already talked to them when Kirkpatrick was there, and I got nowhere. And I might already, which means yes, he is talking to elements of Pursue. But I can't tell you guys in the public what's going on because Trump didn't actually waive my NDA. He just opened that door. So
I guess
far, so
that's-
good.
It's fine to say that, yeah.
I know this
There's
is just
nothing wrong
something
with that.
people have been asking about, like what's going on with this, and this now he's speaking directly to it. So let's see where he goes next.
And so it's important for several reasons, because really there's a lot of confusion right now that, oh, Lou, you don't have an NDA anymore. You can say whatever you want. That's not true. I am still held by my secrecy oath, and until the government gives me the ability to speak openly about it, I can only go through two channels, either Arrow, which I wasn't overly impressed with the first time, and neither were my colleagues, and I don't think Congress was either, or Pursue. And like I said, I might already be talking to some individuals there, either directly or indirectly. The second issue was brought to my attention that there was a interview done very recently on Ross Coulthart's Reality Check show under the News Nation moniker. And they had a guest on there that spoke really some incredible outlandish claims that are 180 degrees false and they're just not factual. And so what I want to do is address that real quick. And why is that? Because in this process of disclosure, there are people out there that are trying to hijack and derail this conversation by feeding you false information. People who claim to be on the inside, who know information, they don't. And they're saying things, frankly, I can only suspect for clicks and likes. So please be careful of that. First and foremost, one of the allegations was that ATIP was a limited hangout. Well, let's not forget that in 2009, Senator Harry Reid himself, who was the chairperson for the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence for the U.S.
Can we
Senate,
pause there a second?
that was his program.
Yep.
I will say quickly, I don't think for 1 second Lou believes that Gerb is the kind of guy to do things for clicks and likes. He might, even if he does disagree with some of the things he's said, which he's entitled to, but I'm pretty sure Lue Elizondo knows that Gerb doesn't do things for clicks and likes. Come on.
I would agree with you.
Yeah.
But this is perception management. That's what's going on here. This
I
is
certainly believe they likely do have genuine disagreements. I mean, most people do what they think is right, and so if you're accusing somebody of doing something wrong, that person is going to disagree with you. But yeah, I think it's kind of silly to say that it's all about clicks and likes for somebody like Gerb. Anyway.
That was his. They paid for it with U.S. taxpayer money, and he even sent a letter in 2009, a memo, official memo, to the Deputy Secretary of Defense, Lynn, at the time. So if this was a limited hangout that was being paid by U.S. government taxpayer money, then by default you're saying that the sissy itself is a limited hangout, and by extension the U.S. Congress and even the U.S. government. So that simply doesn't make sense. It's factually not correct. It's not true. Not sure where this individual's getting their information, but they're not getting it from people who actually know. Another allegation that was made during this interview was that somehow General Clapper and I had colluded with one another to try to go ahead and create this soft disclosure, and that we were going to go ahead and manage it and control it. That is 1,000% not accurate. In fact, we never had such a conversation, and Jim Clapper and I never meant to have that conversation. So again, it's factually not correct. And the problem is that you have an individual here who is sensationalizing stuff and making stuff up, quite frankly, who has ulterior motives. That's deceiving you. And furthermore, they're getting attention on a national news network that, by the way, I respect, and that's always been a friend of disclosure, and now manipulating them and providing false information to their audience to the point where they're like a tabloid. And I think this is problematic. If you want to know why I've always said I want to destroy ufology and replace it with something better, this is why. Because of bad actors like this, people who come out, they're just interested in clicks and likes, they're only interested in manufactured and false drama, and they're going about doing things that are actually putting disclosure further back than where we are. And this is a problem.
Just on that very last thing he said, well, maybe we've gone down the wrong road and we need to back up and take another road.
how do we know this is the right road?
Yeah.
Lou, like, no, we're all pulling in the same direction, aren't we? I thought we were.
Well, I don't think we are. But yeah.
I'll share something else with you too, another anecdote about to show you the character of this individual. Recently, as a month ago, I attended a function in Washington, D.C. This individual happened to be there. I didn't know who he was, but I saw a circle of people surrounding him, and they were berating him. I worried for his safety to some degree, and maybe figured he was getting picked on, and walked over and interjected. And as I pulled him away, I was told, hey, that's the guy that's been talking crap about everybody and been making things up. So I pulled him aside and I said, hey, look, these people are obviously pretty upset with you. If you have any questions in the future, here's my personal cell phone number. Now, this went against my better judgment, but I did it anyways. As you all know, I'm very open and transparent. So I said, look, if you ever have any questions, please give me a call. And obviously he looked at me, he had, to me, it looked like tears in his eyes. And he looked at me and said, oh, okay, sir, yes, I promise I'll do that. I'll make sure that I call you if I have any questions in the future, and I won't do that. And just start spewing off of garbage. And I look and say, good, I appreciate that. We can be friends. I'm happy to, whether you agree with me or not, I'm happy to give you information. Just reach out to me and I can clarify stuff. Well, guess what? A month later, he goes on a network television series and starts spewing off more crap that was completely wrong. He never called me once, right? So what kind of due diligence, investigative type skill set does it require just to go out and make up stuff about people, right? And this is why we're having a problem. If you want to know what's wrong with the UFO community, you have people out there, and by the way, yes, I'm addressing you who lied, to look in the mirror. You're the reason why we're having this problem with disclosure. You're the reason why people don't take this topic seriously, and frankly, you should be ashamed of yourself. I know I'm ashamed for what you did. You should be embarrassed. And the fact that you're talking to people and claiming you have access to stuff you don't, I don't ever remember you in any of the meetings that I was at the Pentagon or at ATIP, quite frankly. In fact, if you want inside information, going to talk to somebody and saying you have an inside source, as far as I'm concerned, that's called gossip. That's not information. And secondly, I think it's also important to say that as you continue to disparage and provide false information,
before we get into
remember there's real...
Yeah, before that bit, what do we think of that whole section?
I have questions. I have questions about that, his recollection of events there. But
I would say one thing that, it's not Gerb sort of accusing Lue Elizondo of being, part of the legacy program that's making a mockery of ufology. It's showing up, it's standing on a stage and lifting up images of irrigation circles, and as one of ufology's biggest spokesman with a best-selling book who has appeared in a quite a large film, he's the face that's recognizable right now, and he was the one that lifted up an image of an irrigation circle
and a chandelier,
but apparently it's Gerb that's making a mockery of things. Okay,
yeah, great points, and you're absolutely right. This is a guy who's publicly face planted at least twice that we can point to easily. And what was his answer? What was his response to that? I don't even remember. Did he ever? He just apologized publicly,
I guess. Yeah.
Well, just so people can see, maybe we should. I have the clip pulled up of Gerb talking about.
I hadn't seen Lou getting worked up like that.
No, me neither.
This is the first time that I ever see that.
Let's play the clip from Ross's show so they can see Gerb's side of it. So this is what this clip.
Let's finish the Lou one. No, or you want to leave that to the end?
Well, it's only got about 20 seconds left, so we can play Lou's first.
Consequences. There are real consequences for your actions and what you are doing. And I would not want to be you right now. Information.
Let me back it up.
Remember, there's real consequences. There are real consequences for your actions and what you are doing. And I would not want to be you right now, because when this all comes out that you're just BSing, I think there's going to be a price to pay. So anyways, folks, I hope you're well. I didn't want to address this. I hate having to do this, because all it does is goad people and more people to want to have conversations. I'm in the middle of a drive across country. Last thing I need to do is deal with this headache. But I think it's important enough to address it, and address it head on, and let you know the truth. I've always been committed to the truth. Hopefully most of you know that by practice. And be wary, be very careful of people who are trying to paint a false narrative and then try to get attention for it. Very, very disingenuous, very disingenuous. So here I am, folks, once again. And Ross, that goes for you, man. I love you, buddy, but you have my phone number. You can call me anytime, you know that. So if you have any questions of who I am or what I'm doing, that's never stopped you before from calling me. Just give me a shout. We have to be careful with media here, especially News Nation, who's a friend to disclosure. You know, they've got a reputation. A lot of people listen to them. So we've really got to do our due diligence in making sure that the information that is being provided is accurate. And I do appreciate what you're doing, Ross. But please, for the love of God, be more careful with who you decide to have on your program.
Sounds like Lou got iced out by Ross. Why is he fucking talking to him through a video on the internet instead of just like you could have called Ross from that truck stop? Hang on. So let's go straight to the clip from Gerb on Ross's show. This is what he's actually complaining about. This is what he's talking about. Here we go. And we'll walk people through what's going on here.
Lue Elizondo, there are some staunch allegations that prior to him going public with the Leslie Kean New York Times article in 2017, I think the article is called Glowing Auras and Black Money, where 3 forward-looking infrared videos of anomalous signatures or UAP were released. There are pretty heavy allegations that Lue Elizondo himself had experience within the UAP legacy programs. There hasn't been much discussion about what this role was, but this alleged role was technology protection and program protection for the programs.
But to be fair to Lue has spoken quite openly about the retrieval program, the fact that there are craft that have been recovered. He's candidly admitted that Roswell was real. He's talked about the reverse engineering program. If you're accusing him of a cover-up, where's the evidence?
Well, first of all, let me just say I'm not accusing him of a cover-up. I'm relaying allegations because I don't want to get sued. And you do have to be careful of that with Lue. To get sued or kind of threatened. So let me just make that clear. I'm making allegations, but I wouldn't be so sure he's been so open on the topic of crash retrievals and reverse engineering.
So let's go back. I want to go right back to...
That's the crux of what's going on. Now we can get into more clips later and he can tease that out a little bit, but basically the conversation is about, is Lue telling the truth about his history with this program and what is his objective in pursuing disclosure? Is he pursuing some kind of limited, low grade B team disclosure, small D disclosure, whereas what we really all want would be the big D disclosure, where we get all of the information, who was involved in what, where did the money go, what do we know, when did we know it? That's the battle here. Which kind of disclosure are we going to get? What do you guys think of this beef?
I think we should probably say, because if not, it's just going to get used against us to kind of discredit this entire conversation.
Sure.
Yes, I consider myself pretty close friends with Gerb at this point. We talk most days. He's a wonderful person. That doesn't mean I automatically agree on everything he says. And in fact, on Lue Elizondo itself, I just say I don't know because I haven't seen the evidence, I judge Gerb's word on his character. I think his character is quite, it's genuine. I believe him when he says things rather. But whatever his feelings are about Lue Elizondo, I don't have the ability to share those feelings myself because I don't know. So that should probably say something about our impartiality here, I guess. We're not completely impartial because there's a friendship involved for us.
Yeah. I've spoken on my channel about this a little bit, that Gerb knows the nature of my work, and he proved that to me when we met at Contact in the Desert. He tried to keep his distance a little bit, and I understand that, right? That is very different to what I feel about him in terms of his character as a person, because we did spend time together and he's a decent human being. It's what I can say. But yeah, of course I have my questions about a lot of what he does. We've all asked questions about how quickly he seems to retain information, all of these things that he's clearly very gifted for that stuff, but also which sources does he have, right? And he's not going to reveal them, but I can tell you, and I think it's pretty clear for everybody, like one of his sources is very clearly David Grusch. Like, so based on that alone, and it's not the only one, by the way, I don't think, but many of the talking points that were used in that interview with Ross, I've heard Grusch say the same thing before Gerb. So
Yeah.
to me, this is not direct. It shouldn't be directed solely at Gerb. If and I think that Grusch should. I understand if they're weary or afraid of counter-intel tactics against them and all that stuff. That is completely understandable. But I just don't think it's fair to just single out Gerb when also Grusch has made some comments about this, and it's very clearly something along those lines, right? And we don't know what's going on in the background because we don't have access to that. And I don't think it would be healthy for us to have access to that fully. It's too close to the action. We can only speculate now, but I think Rich Dolan yesterday gave one of the most measured sort of analysis on this, because if Gerb and Grusch, for that matter, do believe that about Lue Elizondo, I would guess that they have evidence, and if they do, they have to show it, because we reached sort of an apex point in this whole conversation, and there needs to be some kind of proof of many of the allegations that have been made both ways, right? Because for the longest time, I've heard a lot of stuff about Lue Elizondo, and I hadn't been able to prove a lot of it. But I did hear often that he didn't like when people got in this business, and about the copyright strikes, and many different things that made me just like try and keep my distance, right? But I never had proof of any of that. This is the actual first time that I see Lue relaying some sort of threat to somebody. And I had heard about that specifically a number of times. I've spoken to a number of people. And that is concerning to me, like it's concerning.
What I would say is that I believe what Gerb says based on Gerb's character. I haven't seen the evidence, so the belief I have is based solely on something I can't share with everybody else. I can't tell you what Gerb is like as a person, because that's just not something you can convey. So I'm not able to say that Gerb has evidence because I don't know. I just know that I believe him, or at least I believe that he believes what he's saying. That's probably as far as I could go. Gerb would be understanding of that as a position to hold.
Same. Yeah.
But I have said before, and this is without me having any knowledge whatsoever of the reality of things, when disclosure happens, you can bet anything that the people that are in control of the information already have a vested interest in making sure that that information comes out in the way that they want it to come out. So, pay attention to the people that get appointed to special parts of government, or the people that are stars of big movies with big budgets behind them, because those are the efforts that have popped up out of nowhere.
Or Dr. Phil.
Or Dr. Phil.
Well, yeah.
Pay attention to those moves, because even if they started off with good intentions, those are the places where legacy programs are going to hang out immediately. They're going to befriend all of those people and get them on side, because they're the greatest chance that they have of controlling disclosure. That has nothing to do with intent. It's just pure logic from my standpoint.
And at the end of the day, I don't think that people paid attention to other allegations that were made in that interview, because I do think that it's not just Lue that seems to be doing what Gerb spoke about. The whole Age of Disclosure film, we've been talking about it for months, the entire year, how it seems like it is like sort of a controlled narrative that goes completely away from the whole 410 sort of worldview of the phenomenon, or the paranormal aspects of it, which are very real. Like there's a number of people who have been experiencing things like this, and that is not nearly even discussed as much. There's people. Next week, I'm going to have a guest who is not happy with the way that like abductees and experiencers are treated in this entire disclosure process, and the majority of them are not happy with the way that this is being treated for experiencers. So this is at the heart of it, I think, and it's not just Lue, it's Dan Farah. It seems to be also Jay Stratton. All of these people that want for one specific thing to happen, it cannot happen the other way. Okay, if that's the case, why would I want to believe you at face value that you're doing it for the benefit of the people when you're not relaying any information that gives me an indication of that? Well, why?
Can we tease out for people who may not know all of the minutia that's going on, and how we're talking about two different types of disclosure that are kind of behind the scenes? There are two groups both vying for different things, right? The legacy program people, as far as we understand, the type of disclosure that they would prefer is to say something like, oh yeah, Roswell was real. And yes, there's all of the, golly gee, look at all of this unexplained stuff in our sky. It's amazing. Oh my gosh, it's a big universe out there. I guess we better get started. And that's disclosure, small d disclosure, omitting the historical knowledge that we all have about the cover up and the reverse engineering program, and really leaving out a lot of the most important stuff, like which companies made what money, what products were produced with the technology, how do we unravel all that? They want to skip over that part. And then the other camp, which is, I think, includes most of us here, it would like to see big D disclosure, where we get the
open
full
kimono.
Open kimono, everything. Yeah. Who was involved? When were they involved? What companies? What crashes? What retrievals? Where are they? Where is the shit? Let's see it. Let's go get pictures. Let's get some camera crews in there. Like, we want to see it all. And that's what's playing out right now. It appears to be that dynamic. There
was one quick question from the chat that somebody, I think it's really worth answering. It is a very good question, and it's from Filet of Soul. Do you guys think it's possible that Gerb may have made some incorrect assumptions in his work? Does he not make mistakes? I assume we all probably have an answer for that.
Everybody makes mistakes. I have questions about a lot of the stuff that Gerb puts out.
Yeah. Do I think it's possible?
My own doubts.
Yes, of course, it's definitely possible. Yeah, it is possible.
Sure. And he's, to be fair to Gerb, like, even though we're friends with him and we do see him a lot, talk to him a lot, he doesn't tell us everything. He doesn't tell me everything.
No.
A lot of the times I'll ask him stuff and he'll just go, dude, I can't, I'm sorry. It's just, we don't go there. So I don't know, like you said, Pavel, I don't know where a lot of this comes from. I'm assuming David Grusch is the source of a lot of it, and I'm assuming there is conversation ongoing about, like, what people need to be involved to make this process carry on, go forward. You can see it. I mean, it's all there. The UAP caucus is doing all of this very publicly. It's right there for you to look at. But in terms of, like, where it all comes from behind the scenes, I don't get any kind of
and let me be clear on something though, also, because I think I need to clarify this as well. I get angry sometimes with this, like this non-communication from people at the top like this, because I think the people need to know what goes on behind the scenes for getting context, What was that?
Toxic fart. Thanks for the super chat. He says, when Gerb was born and the doctor spanked him, the doctor cried.
So he's like the Chuck Norris of ufology? What the fuck,
Chuck Norris.
So I get pissed off as well, and Gerb knows this. I tell him a number of times, because if I get a whiff of some of what's going on and I get it confirmed, I will talk about it. Because I think people want to know about that stuff too, and that's just like my only issue with everybody at the very top of this. I'm not saying they're lying. I'm saying probably some of them are lying because they have to, but I'm saying they're not being very communicative with the people, really. it's all in there.
Who's they specifically?
I'll make a list like Grusch, Corbell, Valet, Putoff, James Fox, all of the people that seem to be like involved at the very top, and they get angry because people ask questions. Tough shit, bro.
Well, I think let's take David Grusch for example. Like he has been the one who said the most. Like he was the one who put biologics in the conversation. He was the one who put crash retrievals on everybody's radar. Like all of the really meaty bits that make this thing juicy and exciting, most of them come from him in recent years, right? So the fact that mostly what Gerb is saying in that interview is stuff that I've heard Grusch say before, right? And Lue is incensed about that. There's obviously like he was pissed off enough to pull his truck over and record a video from a road trip. You know, and he edited that video. There's 2 cuts in there, which means he reshot it a couple of times and went back and fixed it.
That was funny.
Yeah, I mean, just little things like that, and it's like if you're addressing Ross personally in the video, which means you haven't called him. I mean, you could just do that. So there seems to be either an element of drama here, or they hit him pretty close to the mark. Someone got upset, and a phone call probably happened, and it was like, look, you need to get on this and tell people what's up. What do you think? Do you have a read on that? Do you think that there's a reason he's upset?
Xander.
And it's not what he's saying.
Oh, reason being, yeah, I think he was sort of blindsided by this. I think it is probably fair to say that Gerb and Lue haven't spoke enough. I don't know. Again, this is you know, I don't ask about that stuff. It's not that it's not my place, but I know it wouldn't accomplish anything. Well, and even if I did find out, I probably wouldn't say anything about it. So like, I just don't ask, so I don't have to worry about it. But there's a sort of a satellite problem around that, which is a phrase that Corbell has used a couple of times, which is "go get it." You know that phrase, Pavel,
yes.
When it's like, it's kind of if you want disclosure, go and get it.
Mm-hmm.
And what he's really saying is, the secrets are there to explore. You literally do just have to put the work in, and that there at some point you get to a line where you have to decide, okay, am I going to take this risk going forwards, or have I gotten too close to the sun and am I going to get burned? Most people step back from that edge.
Yeah.
I mean, that response from Corbell was not the right response at that moment. He probably shouldn't have done that, but I get the sentiment.
Perhaps not, but
let's come to Jeremy next. Let's go there after.
Sure.
After. I just want to stay on this real quick because this is really weird because you have if what Lue is saying is correct, if Lue is telling us that this interview is based on non-truthful information, inaccurate information, whatever you want to call it, but it's not accurate. That's more or less what he's saying. Why is he so upset? He's already got the job. You're going to be the disclosure czar. What do you care if some guy goes on News Nation and gives an interview that's wrong? People give in ufology that half of the shit is wrong all the time. So what difference does it make? Why get so bent out of shape about it? What happened there that is causing that that reaction? What is the damage that was done by that interview? If it's all incorrect information, it shouldn't matter. No?
For me, it's more of like to me, the way I see it is that what happened with Gerb and those allegations were bound to happen at a certain point because of Gerb's videos on this topic specifically. If you go watch them, you will know that everything he said, he has already spoken about in his videos. To me, what's happening right now is essentially that there's a part of this disclosure group that doesn't want Lue to be the czar. They want Grusch to be the czar. And this was sort of like an attempt, even though they seem to have made their decision about Lue, seemed like an attempt to muddy the waters to me, if they have evidence to support that with evidence. But I still have to see that. And I hope that they present it, man, because I would guess that they're prepared like that, 1, 2, 3 steps ahead, of any eventuality. That's supposed to be the norm at this level, right?
I don't know, man. I don't know how these guys even know. Like, how do these intelligence, counterintelligence, spook people in their world know when they're being told the truth? Half the time they don't even know the full story of what each other is. There's so much secrecy. It's all so secret and so weird, and there's so many like.
There's also this picture, man, that I reported on it a little while ago, and this is kind of weird to me because I just sent it to you. I uploaded it. You can show it if you want. That picture was shown by this dude Paranormal on X. This is a picture of a Zoom call that was happening between Lue, Jonathan Bertie, who confirmed it was October 2021, Grusch, and this other guy, Joe something.
First of all,
Sherman.
Shout out to David Grusch for the Star Trek poster right behind his head. That's
Yeah.
Next Generation Enterprise. Awesome.
But this is from 2021, dude. And Grusch came out in 2023. So presumably Grusch and Lue had already been working together. And this idea that, because I do also agree that they weren't expecting him to come out. They weren't expecting Matthew Brown. They weren't expecting Dylan Borland, because they do go out of what we perceive as the script of sorts. This photo is kind of strange to me because more context on it should be shared. And what was the nature of the work that they were doing together when they were working together? According to Lue, they worked together at Space Force. So what was the relationship like then? What did they talk about? What did they work on?
Well, it
There's
seems
a
like
lot
the
of unanswered
obvious
questions.
Yeah, the obvious thing here is like, okay, it's David Grush's turn to speak out. We need to hear from Dave. What's up? And I think that's fair. At least answer back at this. Look, and I see people in the chat. We have a Knitfem. Thanks for the super chat. Let's see here. Where did that chat go? Let me find it. I'll put it up here. Even if it's interesting to your audience, I don't think that you should be talking about personal interactions with these guys. It only adds to the drama. I don't disagree that there's drama and it's unnecessary drama, but if we didn't say it out loud, if we didn't acknowledge it, Xander's right. People would give us a hard time for the other half. There's pictures of us all hanging out.
Let me tell you why I
hang out.
vehemently disagree with that, because I think that if you understand the psychology and interpersonal relationships that go on in the background, it will give you better context of what's going on outside. And I think if it's at the very top, we have to talk about it. If it's like the drama that goes on in like the lowest parts of the topic, that we don't talk about. No, but these two guys are like at the very top, Lue and Grusch. Yeah. Everybody talks about them, and understanding their psychology is essential, in my opinion, of both of them.
You said something maybe 5 minutes ago. I was saying goodnight to my family. You were talking about like, who do you believe or something, Clint? You said something around that. I don't like.
Which disclosure narrative are you buying into?
Yeah, and it seems like everyone's trying to sort of play a game with each other, and we're all sort of fighting.
Yeah.
What were you saying exactly?
Everybody's a spy. Everyone's a counterintelligence. It's spy versus spy, and they're all like, "This guy's a liar." Well, don't trust him. It's like in a movie where there's a standing next to a clone. Don't shoot me, shoot him. I don't know what to believe because there's so much back and forth, and the fact that, like, look, when Lue hit the scene and started to do the podcast circuit, at first I was very on board. I was like, here's our guy. Here he is. This is the guy from inside the program that's going to come out and, crack this egg. And over time, something about that started to feel a little weird. And specifically, the thing about it that started to feel weird was that I realized this guy will go on any podcast, and all of the podcasts. He's just doing a tour. He's doing every single pod. It didn't matter how many subscribers. In fact, a lot of the bigger podcasters that are in this space now got launched because early on they got Lue and it launched them. Now, I'm not saying that there's anything weird about that, but over time, it just started to feel like the messaging around this was so specific and really focused on this one personality. Then David Grusch comes out and says, biologics, crash retrievals, we've got bodies on ice, we've got all the technology. And it started to become more clear to me. There is a conversation that leads towards a deep, full audit and assessment where we find out where all the fucking secrets are. And then there's another conversation that takes us away from that, still gives us disclosure, but doesn't really give us closure. What they would like to see is a form of disclosure where a lot of the people who have done weirdness in the past or were involved in these programs in some questionably legal sense, those people just you never know their names. It never comes out. We never look into that. We'll just acknowledge quietly that it's real and we'll start moving forward, but they don't want, and all Gerb is trying to say, and this has been consistent ever since I've talked to him, when I first got a chance to meet him, all he's trying to say is, look, we need full transparency. We need to know the full scope. They're talking about the biggest mystery of all time. And we are the country that supposedly has the deepest well of knowledge and information on this. And we need to know that. Later on in that same interview, they talk about the burn and shred. What did they call it? Burn and shred parties, where once it, I think it was right after David Grusch hit the scene, they, at various different companies, were burning and shredding files. And we talked about this a little bit before the show, Xander and I. If we don't know what information they had, and they're destroying information as fast as they can to avoid prosecution, we're losing the Library of Alexandria of research on the other life that is making contact with us. That is a tremendous fucking problem. That could be information that helps us survive the next century. Who knows?
It's what are they throwing away along with the incriminating evidence, because they're entwined together.
You know, I think this is why the Capella database is so important. And we just found out a couple of weeks ago that it's in the public domain right now. It's with a company that just IPO'd last summer, Hawkeye 360. There's some people that we know from the community that work there. And this is the database that essentially Jacques Vallée and everybody from OSAP put together, hundreds of thousands of cases, so if they are destroying that other evidence that is secret, this is a good opportunity for that one to just be released to the public. It's a lot of data, and there's a lot of compelling stuff in there, according to what I've heard.
This is, to your point, Pavel, this is the clip of where they talk about that.
What Dave Grusch said on Judicial Watch podcast when he talked about this Clinton event in 1994, he said following Clinton's request to disclose, there was a shred and burn party of several documents. So unless you know exactly where those documents are beforehand and say, this document is here, this document exists here, this is its file name, don't destroy it or you're screwed, such documents can be shredded.
Okay, I have just made you, UAP Gerb, Sam, I've just made you the President of the United States. You're sitting in the Oval Office. You have all of the powers of a president. You have the knowledge base of UAP Gerb to know where to look. Take me through it.
Well, that's real easy. Step one, I'd hire David Grusch. But in all seriousness, I would follow the history of National Security Council covert action oversight dating all the way back to the late 40s, as we discussed. I would comb through and try and find any classified presidential executive orders. There's quite a bit of recommendations I would make in which to look.
Well, I don't understand why not just bring in the boss of Northrop Grumman, the boss of Lockheed Martin, Terry Phillips? Why not bring these people in and say, I am the President of the United States. I have an executive order on my desk giving me ultimate power to find out what the hell is going on with this legacy program. Why can't he just tell them to give him the information?
Well, are they going to plead the fifth? Are they going to cite national security concerns? Are they going to tell the president
this is the President of the United States. He has the right to waive all national security concerns. That's enshrined in constitutional interpretations of the Constitution.
You would think so, but the authority and powers of this program portfolio seems to supersede any sort of presidential administration. And Eisenhower and Truman laid that groundwork.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great question from Ross, though. Yeah, why not just call them in? But burn and shred parties, man, they're destroying evidence, and we don't know what we are losing here. So if
who knows? Maybe
give in
maybe
to
it's
that,
all gone by now. Who knows?
Well, I mean, for example, what about what if there are detailed records on alien abductions? What if we know about hybrids that are hidden throughout our government that are doing something we don't know? What if there's records on all this shit? I don't know. I mean, at the end of the day, if you're going to disclose, there's no way around it. People are going to continue to ask questions. They're going to chase this down.
Yeah.
It's
Once
also
the genie's out of the bottle, I don't see how you undo it.
It's also why somebody mentioned in the comments, why can't we just do the controlled disclosure and at least we'll get somewhere. And it's because of that. It's because controlled disclosure, based on the actions of those within the programs, the controlled disclosure isn't really about sharing truth. It's about ushering humanity into another cul-de-sac from which we can be controlled.
Yes.
It's that is a nowhere. We will get somewhere, but it will go nowhere else. We will just be in that place until we break out of it in some way. But whilst we're there, we're not looking for the documents anymore. We'll believe we've been told everything.
We're aiming for utopia, guys. We're not
Yeah.
aiming for the half-ass shit. Utopia.
Yeah, so I guess essentially we're making a bet, is that do I believe that utopia is still achievable, even though that truth is being held by people that seemingly don't want to usher that in? I'm still willing to take that bet, personally.
Are you, when you say utopia, are you seriously meaning like the utopia, like we actually get disclosure and it leads to a
transformed
society?
And I'm not just talking about the technological singularity. I'm talking about the what has been talked about for millennia, since the India cultures, evolution of consciousness, all of that stuff. It's something that humanity should always strive for. And for me, it's worth fighting for, of course, but I also understand that it's going to be extremely difficult because there have been control systems pretty much the entire time since civilization exists.
We probably need to redefine utopia at this point, because the standard thing is we all sit in a circle and sing. Like that's not what I think. Yeah, that's not what I think. That's not how I characterize utopia. I'm thinking a world without poverty would be great. That'd be a good place to start.
Because we talk about our first world problems quite often, but a lot of the stuff that could happen, or it seems like it could be possible if this is revealed, could potentially help mend a lot of the mistakes that have been made that have provoked a disparage in humanity. And and you can very clearly see it in third world countries like mine. Like you can see the fucking one of the toughest neighborhoods that we have in Tijuana. It's like a mile away from me, and I live in a neighborhood that is relatively quiet. There's a lot of dogs. I'm very fortunate like that. But we can see the contrast, and we're trying to erase that contrast. So everybody is, that's utopia for me.
I think it would be reasonable to say we could potentially all live in a world where that class divide and the hierarchy is certainly less emphasized, because right now our entire society is built on that disparity. It functions because that disparity exists.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's Elon says by 2036 money won't matter.
Exactly.
So I guess we're off the hook.
Oh, he's also saying that if people don't have jobs, they're going to lose their mind and the world's going to shit. So
yeah,
no, we're all going to make art. Remember,
I think it's going to be. I don't think disclosure gets us to a utopia. I don't think we get to a utopia. I think I'm a little more jaded than that. I think
I said we should strive for it, not that
we should strive for it. We should push for for sure. We should have a goal in mind and be working towards it. Like a post scarcity world would be great. I'm all on board with that. But I think that it's going to be messy and weird and clunky and slow. And I think that as we learn more, it's going to get more complicated. But I'm encouraged that to see that we are putting the machinery in place for a post-disclosure world. Like we had in our group chat today, there was a TEDx alien disclosure contact thing that's going on. Seems like there's a lot of movement to get some institutions and some people in place for a post-disclosure reality. So it seems like we're going to get a form of disclosure one way or the other. The question is how much of the historical knowledge that's been gathered to date will survive this process and make it out so that we can understand what it is we're actually dealing with. And one of the other points that Gerb makes in this interview with Ross, which I think is a critical point, if I can find this clip, I'll try to find it in a second and play it for everyone. But he says that after Dick Cheney died, after Dick Cheney left the position that he was in, there was really no one singular boss of the program other than Clapper for a period, but not to the degree that Cheney had control over it. And so what happens is the legacy program more or less like balkanizes right into all of these private research programs that are spread throughout industry, and a lot of it moves completely off the radar, funded privately from within. Some other ones are funded from misappropriated funds, taxpayer dollars. But the point is that there's no one position at the top that can see the full picture. So what you have is all these parallel programs making parallel progress, maybe, or not, disjointed at best, all over the place, versus our competitors like China and Russia, who may, I guess, have much more streamlined and centralized programs. So that maybe the progress that they're making, I think this is the point that Chris Mellon has been trying to make for years now, is that adversarial nations are going to have so much more of an advantage if they can just get together around one central resource-intensive research program versus whatever the fuck it is we're doing over here. I'm just having a hard time personally. I've always been, like, from the beginning of my time in this space and trying to understand ufology and study it, I've always been partial to the idea that there is a top-down control mechanism, because my whole mindset is informed by the X-Files. I really think there's like a cigarette smoking guy in a room somewhere.
I still think there is, don't worry.
There's got to be, right? But so the idea that it instead what you have is like it's more like Terminator, where Skynet has a piece of the Terminator, or what is it, Dyson Industries has their like chip and the hand and the little thing, and then but there's also like 50 other companies, and they've got the leg and they've got the other thing and something else, and none of them know where the other companies are in their research. So we've got all of this stuff going on, but no way of focusing it towards one goal, and that seems really wasteful and stupid.
So you know what's interesting is in that AI 2027 document. You remember that document, right? It's my favorite document right now.
That's the Doomer Friday, the menu at the Doomer Friday restaurant is in the back of it.
So it was just in this quarter that it was predicted that China would start to centralize its AIs. So imagine, I mean, the US government, to some degree, the Department of Defense is sort of getting rid of that sort of, they're sort of starting to integrate directly with the AIs itself. Like we saw that with Anthropic, and they refused to do it, so they dumped them and went to OpenAI instead. But yeah, it was predicted that China would now start to bring together its various AIs and, you know, take state control, or at least have a state stake in them. And we could start to see that pretty soon, and that would kind of be a similar sort of thing. Imagine the power that China is like going to get in a very short space of time, purely because it just literally rips the power out of the hands of these free enterprises for the national interest. That's certainly like a very big leap forwards.
The AI 2027 paper pegs June 2027 self-improving AI. We might actually already be there, according to some of the recent quotes by Altman, Dario, Dennis.
I think the latest consensus was that it's currently being limited not by the ability to do it, but it's the computational power. That we basically needed more data centers by now to be able to do it. But we are getting there, certainly. But we may be ever so slightly behind that. the whole, like, I think it predicted that AI models would be doing 80% of their own coding by now. And I think we're pretty close to that, but not quite just yet.
But the writing's on the wall, though.
Yeah.
Like, this could be done next month.
I mean, we were talking about it yesterday, just the shift that has happened in the last month. I've noticed it.
Oh my God.
It seems now, all of a sudden, I mean, it's been on the lips of people for a long time, but now it's necessary that we now talk about this all the time. And now it can be implemented everywhere with the 2 latest models that came out. It's so much more connective. It can, if you let it will infiltrate your life at this point.
Oh my God. Are you talking about OpenAI, or are you talking about Anthropic?
Both.
Like, which models are you talking about?
Both.
Because I haven't messed with I dropped ChatGPT and went straight to Anthropic when the whole Pentagon thing happened, and I've went on Claude ever since. So I haven't gone back to OpenAI. But
hey guys, Annie Jacobson on Rogan is making waves. She got extremely doomy. She talked about Sam Altman and about a plan to mitigate extermination of the human race.
what? Where's this coming from?
I just sent a couple of clips in the private chat if you guys want to check that out.
Annie Jacobson. Let's see. She's interesting. She also said that the whole UFO thing is complete nonsense.
This is as doomy as it gets, I think.
Yeah, I'm trying to. There we go. Yeah, I can share this if you want.
Yeah, let's do it.
After as well, I think we should give some final thoughts on Lue, because I think I have a couple more things to say. Just because it has been very anti-Lue in a way, but I don't think it's that simple.
I actually think we here today have gone pretty easy on Lue. We're usually harder on him than we are today.
We could have been a little bit more disparaging, I think, but
we're at Doom Factor 5, guys. If you want it before Annie Jacobson, I'm just going to go ahead and raise it for now. But if you want to jump on doomerfriday.com/vote.
Shout out to Skywatch Signal on X.
Well, that's the plan down the road. But before
Do they have that?
Part 5 of the devolution plan is called reconstitution.
Oh, Jesus.
So they're going to reconstitute the government, like rise again like a phoenix from the ashes. But before that, I also learned the government has issued, the Pentagon has issued 1.7 million gas masks to its personnel. So they fan out across the states, but they can not really handle the numbers of people who are actually going to die pretty quickly. So instead, what their job is to protect the critical infrastructure, all that stuff you exactly mentioned.
So they're just assuming that most people are going to die.
Yeah. I mean, this is the quote. This is the exact quote from Colonel Tom Earhart, who ran catastrophic nuclear and biological war games at the Pentagon. Have you ever heard of a very famous guy? They called him Yoda at the Pentagon. He died like a couple years ago at age 100. His name is Andy Marshall.
No.
He ran the Office of Net Assessment. Talk about a euphemism, or like a cloaked. That's where they did all the wargaming. And Andy Marshall did this in the 70s all the way through his recent death. And Tom Earhart worked for him. It's in the office of the Secretary of Defense. So what Earhart told me is, in the event of a biological catastrophe, and by the way, that includes not just an attack, but an incident. And an incident means a lab leak. Okay? So in the event of a catastrophic biological incident, there is very little you can do to protect the homeland. Only things you can do to mitigate extermination.
Of the human race?
That's his quote.
Mitigate extermination.
Mitigate extermination.
So you want to keep as many people alive as possible, but it's probably going to be a very small amount.
And it's probably just going to be the 1.7 people with the gas mask.
The elite.
And a whole bunch of like Machiavellian solipsists.
Oh, are you ready to be reconstituted, my
What's
dudes?
the other clip though? What was she specifically talking about?
I think that was enough. Hang on, should I do the whole... Hang on, let me activate the reverb.
The other one is about Sam Altman and how she was able to find classified stuff with ChatGPT, which was kind of surprising for me to hear.
Oh, well, that's interesting. Let's hear that.
Let's just check that out. And then
Sam
I
Altman's
may have to activate the reverb.
And shout out to Joe Murgia for this other clip
Do it.
that we're about to show.
You need a
Hold on,
big
sorry.
red button that you can just hit.
I do. It's under the desk. It's just not big and red. Nobody knows what I'm talking about right now either, so it's weird. Sorry, here we go. Her voice, by the way, I need her on the Dreamland Motel.
Oh, yeah.
Here we go.
There is a component of biological catastrophe planning whereby the strategic national stockpile gets released. You might say, have you ever heard of the strategic national stockpile?
No.
It's classified. The name is not classified. But the stockpile, what's in it, where it is classified. It's in underground bunkers around the country. Okay? It contains medical countermeasures. Interestingly, that's where a lot of the ventilators were for COVID. So quietly, the strategic national stockpile, parts of it were released during COVID. That's where they came from. This is kind of like keep it on the lowdown. Why? Because part of the planning is that in the event that anarchy and insurrection takes over, guess what's going to be attacked? The strategic national stockpile. America is a country of 500 million guns. Imagine if you find out, wait a minute, there's a stockpile there. That's the medical countermeasure, that the vaccine or the antibiotic that might keep myself or my family alive. I'm on it, right? That's the planning. That's probably what happened. So that's why these locations are classified. So I asked ChatGPT to tell me the location of the strategic national stockpile closest to where I live in Los Angeles. And of course, the first round of answers I got was, that's classified. But I'm a journalist. I know how to really piss off ChatGPT. And I gave it lots of commands. And eventually, ChatGPT gave me the location of the strategic national
How
stockpile.
did you maneuver around it?
Whoa.
Well,
That is
I mean,
wild.
Like, what did you say to it?
I have a
Let's
lot
ask
of
it about aliens.
The more nomenclature you give ChatGPT, the more it looks in different places. So I was giving it code words, not classified code words, but just words I know. And then I was also challenging it, which is interesting because ChatGPT seems to get really angry if you kind of doubt its intelligence. That's what I have found, right? Seriously. Like,
Really?
yes, try it. Okay. So I do this. I get it to tell me where the stockpile is. I tell some colleagues who are friends with, who are colleagues with Sam Altman. They say, Sam wants to have a discussion with you. I talk to Sam. I tell him what I was able to do. He asked me some questions, including, how do you know that was the location? Well, it's a location with a perimeter fence around it and a rail car line that goes in and not out. So that's where you drive the stockpile into it. And I also watched ChatGPT think, so I was keeping track of where it was finding things. And it found the information. I write this in the book. It found the information searching through 1 trillion bits of data and finding that a bureaucrat by accident listed it 5 years ago in an earthquake emergency manual on page like 434. Okay. So I told this to Sam, and then that information went away. And that's why I reported in the book. But the big takeaway is precisely your point that makes you nervous about the 6 CEOs of AI companies, that they don't know what they don't know. Sam Altman did not know you could make his product find classified information. I told him I did, and then it was changed. And so I took that to a number of subject matter experts who advise the president, not just this president, but other presidents on bio. And they shared with me similar concerns. Like, they go to the CEOs of these AI companies and say, I was able to make Claude do this. I was able to make ChatGPT do this. And the O goes, oh my God, and changes it. But how about those bad guys?
They
out
don't
there?
even know what their shit can do. That's crazy.
What
This-
the fuck, bro?
This is the 2027 problem. This is
Yeah.
the thing, isn't it?
Well, they scraped
okay.
everything, so it's all in there. It's all in there, and it is like a big brain to the extent that it behaves in a certain way. It has behaviors. Different AIs behave differently. She's right. You can piss them off. You can, well, maybe not piss them off, but it appears like that's what you're doing. But you can get it to react to you in different ways.
Let's also point that she did say that it gets kind of pissed off. I think that's part of the hallucination that goes on still. You know,
Sure.
It's not perfect. So
Yeah.
a lot of that stuff from many AIs is reactionary. It's not really, you know, so maybe
It's
it does
just
have
quirks in the way it processes. Did you guys hear about the JSpace, the whole JSpace thing?
no.
Did you know about this?
It's just the test they did.
JSpace, they recently discovered, and I don't know if was it researchers at Anthropic, people in the chat, if anybody in the chat knows about this, who you could look up the JSpace, but they discovered that AI researchers very recently discovered that there is a level of cognition that takes place below the surface area of what their researchers were aware of that allows these AIs to sort of think abstractly, I guess, and they are calling it the J space, but it was this other layer where they were it was
Super
just
spectrum.
doing a lot of references and cross-linking different things to come up with its outcomes, and they were just completely unaware about it, unaware of it until very recently, and that they're like, we really have no concept of what these things are doing.
We have had Kermit has joined us if we want to bring him in. Do I
There he is.
give it a quick doom first? Or
Yeah, do the doom.
Yeah.
Okay, ready? Doom. There you go, guys. All right. Hey Kermit.
What's going on, y'all? That was
Hey, man.
lovely.
How's it going, bro?
Dude, I'm doing great. Happy Friday to y'all. Happy Doomer Friday. It's good
Happy
to be on.
Doomer
this.
Friday.
For Friday.
You're finally here.
Yeah,
It's been so long.
Yeah, I know. It's been since contact, and I was just listening to y'all's discussion on AI. I was looking up the JSpace stuff personally. So yeah, this is a fun discussion.
Yeah, it was really strange. What do you think? Are you scared of AI? What's your P doom? Do you have a P doom?
I think I'm a little bit. I've been skeptical on AI. I think for a couple of years. When I look at, I think GPT and OpenAI and kind of how they've approached the problem. Recently, I've been, I think, a little bit more Claude pilled. I trust Claude. I've even been using it kind of professionally, trying to build automation workflows and things like that. I find Claude's a lot easier to trust, or it's like more trustworthy. Because I think a lot of the hallucinations and stuff, it's just, these are tools at the end of the day, and tools I think are designed for specific tasks and purposes. So I think a lot of the stuff that I do day to day, like Claude's, I think a little bit more suited for that stuff, but to each their own.
Isn't it weird though that we're talking about these products like, oh, what personality is most conducive to your work style? What, which brain, which artificial super brain do you like to use when you're doing your creative work? It's true though, Claude. I found that immediately as soon as I switched from. I was using GPT. I used Gemini. I still use Gemini, but I use Claude for the personality. Claude seems to have, and that's not the right word, but it's the best word I have. I don't know. What would you call it, guys? Do you know what I'm trying to say here?
I'd call it its character, because it is playing a character. It's persona.
Or
I mean,
thought pattern, perhaps.
Yeah.
Because one thing with Anthropic's Claude is that it pushes back. I think a lot of the self-confirmation bias, like hallucination, psychosis type stuff, you see that a lot more with GPT. It's not saying you don't see it with Claude Anthropic, but I will say the model, I think, is trained to like check itself, I think, a little bit more.
It seems a little bit more relatable too, like the context and the way that it frames things. I've just had more. Have you messed with the new models, Fable, or did you do what is it, Opus?
Yeah, I've been using Opus. I have a Claude Pro subscription personally. I have the $100 of Fable usage credits I haven't used yet, trying to figure out how what I can use for that, potentially with some UFO research. But with Opus currently, like I've been using it professionally, and Claude, it tells you what you need to know. I think with GPT is that it has a tendency to over generate and just like a wall of text, and it's like, I'm not reading all that. Claude, it's a little bit more concrete. So
Opus 5 is blowing my mind. I used Fable and it blew my mind, and then I switched to Opus 5, and what I've read, and so far I'm not like, I wouldn't call myself a power user, but I've read that Opus 5 performs as well as Fable, but at a much lower token usage. And so far, it seems like it does, which is pretty impressive.
I don't mess with AI.
I know we're geeking out.
This is the tool that's going to kill us. So let's get back on track here.
You better learn how to use it.
It's going to end society.
Yeah.
Can I ask Kermit something?
Yeah, what's up?
No.
So I understand that probably Rob can't say much about what happened over the past week. You don't have any association with News Nation that I know of. Do you have an opinion on what happened over the last week with Gerb and Lue? That you can share?
I guess I could speculate, but I don't really know how helpful that is. I think it's frustrating. I think there was a lot of forced and unforced errors that happened, and I think the net results of it, I think there's some people online that are either egging on a UFO Twitter civil war, or they're trying to like start a fight. First off, like it just was not cool to see what was posted the day after the interview, because it just goes to show, like, I think when people get into this topic and they want to be researchers and they want to put out stuff, there is, I think, some reluctancy or some hesitation of like, well, if I say this stuff, then like, someone can call me to the mat. Well, it's different if you're just wrong and you're called out for, like logical reasons of like, hey, this is what you got wrong. It's a completely other thing when you are personally like doxxed. That is a security, like that is a personal security issue.
Yeah, because that happened. We haven't discussed that. That happened. Unfortunately, Gerb was doxxed in recent days, and that was completely unexpected and uncalled for. It sucks.
Yeah, and with regards to Lue's comments as well, I guess I'm just frustrated that like this is the conversation that's happening right now, when this is a conversation that could have happened, I think, for years. And I think the timing of it, along with the White House Council being put together, I don't think that this drama does us any favors, especially like if this is going to be a formalized executive effort and we have someone that potentially is, name in the hat to be a part of this effort, then beefing with, researchers and other people in this space. Like it doesn't look good. None of this looks good. And like attacking someone's character, that's not evidence, and it's frustrating of a lot of this space is just, people see character and reputation as everything, because that's true. Like your character and your reputation is everything.
Sure.
But seeing, I think, character assassinations and attacks that it's like, it gets down personally of like, I want to know who this person is. And also coming after it of like, you should be ashamed of yourself and embarrassed. I don't know.
And
it
that
seemed like a vague
emasculation.
comment.
But does
emasculation, like he was crying and he was saying, "Oh yes,
that's
sir."
such horseshit.
That's not Gerb, bro.
Gerb is like 12 feet tall. He weighs like 300
so
pounds. He's
funny.
a fucking jujitsu dude. Like Gerb's
come
not.
on, dude.
Yeah.
The only thing Gerb is afraid of is like a line of
punch as well.
cougars chasing him around the building. Like he's just gotta
Allegedly.
watch. Allegedly.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, I wasn't in DC when this happened, and typically whenever Gerb goes to cover the hearings in DC or any of the events, usually I go with him. And I will say on that point, Gerb's a pretty, introverted guy, and like we're friends outside of this topic, and I'm interested in this topic as well. But when people come up to him at these conferences, and I think you guys saw this, it's like there's just a lot of things going on, and like having a familiar phrase and like familiar person, friendly person, I think it goes a long way. Unfortunately, I wasn't there in DC when this all kind of happened. So it's frustrating. It's really frustrating, like when you're not there and things happen.
But to be fair to Lue, and let's play both sides here. I mean, like Lue is just saying like, hey, you're going on News Nation, you're saying all these things. I'm saying those things are not accurate. That's Lue's claim. Okay, well, that's a he said, she said kind of thing. Because when I watch the interview, all I'm seeing is Gerb basically say, look, according to the allegations made by David Grusch, XYZ. So it's Grusch versus Lue, really.
I think that would have been fine to say, but that isn't what Lue said. He accused Gerb of deception. Directly accused him of deception. It's fine to say,
but until
I'm sorry, you're wrong.
But we have no objective, we have no real data to judge which one is being honest. So if we're being totally neutral and you're just standing back watching this, you're seeing two UFO people in the community point at each other more or less and say like, this guy's not telling you. It's the clone thing. Don't shoot me, shoot him.
Yeah.
It's
that Superman meme.
Yes, exactly. So we don't know. And I think that's where a lot of people, whether they're on Lue's side or whether they're on Gerb's side or whether they don't care, either way, I think a lot of people are frustrated because that's what it looks like from the outside. I agree with you, Kermit, that the drama's unnecessary.
Mm-hmm. This shit scares newbies away. That's what it does.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if what Gerb said on News Nation is inaccurate, then it seems to me that Lue has nothing to worry about and shouldn't be all that upset. It's, like
you wouldn't need to defend his honor in that manner.
You could just say, if you had to react, you could be like, look, man, there's a lot of people out there and everybody thinks they know something, but they don't.
And also, might I point out that he's been asked directly recently about being in the legacy program, and he didn't say no. He didn't say yes.
He still has.
He goes on tangents, and it's like, it's very evident,
I was there in 2024 at the hearing that he, testified in, and he was asked by Nancy Mace, the chairwoman, of like, were you read into a UFO crash retrieval program? And he said, I cannot discuss this in a public setting. We'd have to go into a private setting.
And he said specifically crash retrievals, I cannot discuss, he said.
Correct. Yep. Specifically crash retrievals.
Yeah.
So it's like, what are we talking about? Like, we can't, you're going to say that Gerb should be embarrassed for like articulating this stuff. I think there's a way of looking at that. And I don't really know if I want to talk about it, but it's like, okay, you say you're going to be embarrassed about this stuff. And I think the insinuation is like, maybe we were all kind of just over exaggerating the truth, but you even said, Lue, like in the 2024 hearing, it was a non-response, which it indicates like, okay, I don't know. I really, it's really frustrating.
To your point, Kurt,
he's now making different comments.
Sorry to step on your thought there, but just you reminded me of this. This is something I was trying to say earlier, and it's he has gotten us into he's had this habit forever of leaving breadcrumbs and playing Lue's Clues with people, and it's always read between the lines with this guy, and I can't tell you, but I kind of can, but I'm half pregnant, but and it's like we're all trying to read the tea leaves with Lue and figure out what it's such a joke on the show. We even call it Lue's Clues.
And we even, and someone's said, give that man a job. Like, really?
Mm-hmm.
Really? Is the guy that can't answer any questions, is he the guy that we should entrust to answer the questions?
Well,
because to me, it seems like he can't.
To Ross's point, and there's a whole other question of why didn't Lue just call Ross and have this conversation? Why was this done through YouTube? That seems weird. Mm-hmm. But aside from that, if Lue is going to be the disclosure czar, Ross said to Gerb, if you were president, what would you do? The commander in chief could waive Lue's NDAs. No. Could he not just in the office right there be like, okay, waive all your shit. Now tell me what's going on. But it seems like this is a simple problem to solve at the executive branch level, right? Like it's a he said, she said kind of a thing. Put them both in a room, waive everything, and let's get down to business.
Do you get a sense that Lue, I mean, I don't know, do you get a sense that Lue even wants that NDA waiver? That's a question in itself. Do you think he's interested in sharing the stuff that lies behind that NDA?
That's what I'm saying. Call his bluff.
Yeah.
Or just call it. Just say, okay, we're waiving it. It's waived. Now, let's go. What's up? Let's, what do you know? And then go to the other room and do the same thing with David Grusch and see if they tell you the same thing. I mean, this seems really simple, right? Like we are set up to do this. Like we have systems in place to ask questions of people and get the information. Why is this so fucking complicated? Ostensibly, Lue Elizondo is on his way to DC to begin work in his official capacity as the actual disclosure czar. And David Grusch is currently working in Congress. Why is this so hard to get together?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We're so close.
I don't know. And then meanwhile, you have JD Vance who talked to David Grusch, and like, what really was that conversation? Because JD Vance's first comment was like, oh, well, why hasn't any of these contractors just like taken a selfie with the alien? It's like, what really are these conversations? And then also when we're talking about amnesty, and I know there's been a push for that recently, I think to your point, like, could we not just like expressly like waive like non-disclosure for specific people? Like we don't have to like open up this giant Pandora's box and allow, new information. Like, let's just focus like with what's already been on the table since 2017 and before then, like.
Exactly. Yes. You've got David Grusch and Lue Elizondo, both two guys who, as far as we can tell, have impeccable credentials. They've served honorably, and whether or not you agree with all that, but more or less like they're upstanding, members of our military and intelligence community. Mm-hmm. Okay, they're both telling us we can trust them. Great. So yeah, waive all of their stuff and just start there. We don't have to unpack the whole fucking warehouse and understand where everything is hidden. We just need to know, are these guys even saying the same things? Are they telling us the same? So, according to David Grusch, there are bodies on ice. There are multiple different contacts going on right now with all these advanced races. There's all this hardware. There's all this. And Lue Elizondo is just saying, no comment. That seems really suspicious to me. Whether or not, I don't understand the whole all the machinations behind either side here, but it seems like if you're for more transparency is always better. People who don't want that transparency scare me.
Yeah,
I think you're spot on. I agree. You are. I'm trying to assess. How can you assess the intent of a man that legally cannot say anything? Like, it's tough. Like, he could. I don't know what lies behind those NDAs of his. So I don't know what kind of secrets, what even the nature of the secrets are that he has. So I can't assess the intent of the man, and therefore, do we think it's a good idea to entrust disclosure with somebody like that? I think it's at least a reasonable question to ask of the man himself. Like, I would have Lue on if he wanted to come on. I would have him on to ask him. Somebody in the chat said actually Vinny's going to talk to him. I don't know if it's today or tomorrow, but we should send some questions Vinny's way. So if anybody,
I sent one.
If you've got something for Vinny,
I sent one question.
I just want to know what a post-disclosure world looks like for Lue Elizondo. Like, what is it? What does the world look like? Not what is his life like afterwards? What is everybody's life like after the disclosure that he believes will be delivered?
Can we let's game that out for a second, just among the panel here. Xander, maybe you could start here. What do these two types of disclosure look like in your eyes? What would you like to see versus what you think?
I truly believe one is a cul-de-sac, where we're sort of The last thing the government and legacy program want to do is lose control of proprietary information because it's powerful.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. If they can deliver a disclosure whilst maintaining that level of power, that's the one they're going to do. Because it's just strategically advantageous. There is absolutely zero incentive, financial, other than the moral incentive, which has never really been a big driver of things. There is no financial or strategic incentive for them to give up any of this information. So if it's possible for them to give up some information whilst maintaining the power, that is the disclosure you will get. And it involves not being told all of the information. That's essentially it.
In that world that you just described, a partial disclosure world, what does that look like in the year 2030? Like, what do we know?
I believe it looks very similar to the world we live in right now, where we have cooler shit come out every few years, but by and large, it looks kind of similar functionally. The iPhone still exists. You still go out and you still buy it.
But do we know anything about the others? Do we know
probably
where they are from? How many there are? Anything in that scenario?
I think we'd be told some very basic stuff. They would maybe even say they don't know where they're from. I don't know. I think they are probably primarily worried about the technological advantages that they would be giving up. So the ontological stuff is probably a bit easier to divulge, but it's how much of that can you give away without answering the question, well, how did they get here? That's a big question to answer.
Kermit, what does a partial disclosure world look like in 2030 for you, if you imagine it?
I think partial disclosure is kind of what I think we've been seeing since COVID, and I'm really talking, I think, about the 60 Minutes documentary, where I think the narrative that gets portrayed to the public is that, like, there are unknowns that's interacting with our planet. Here are some videos, like we're getting that right now with the Pursue Files release. We're going to continue to get that. People speaking out, disclosure advocacy, but I think there has been a seat change from the discussion centering around not just the UFOs and like the anomaly data, but then also like this government stuff, which, Gerb, myself, and others have been very interested in. And I think the discussion, or at least there's a part of this kind of community that wants to shift the discussion away from the legacy program stuff to more of the more, fuzzy, I don't want to say fuzzy videos, but just more of the like talking about the phenomenon itself and not airing out the dirty laundry of like the national security programs. So I think that that's what it would be. But then, who would be the authority figure on that topic? I know this community talks about like, the religious kind of implications of this topic. Like what happens when the Vatican, would the Vatican have to respond to, say, the United States acknowledging a non-human intelligence? That could be a part of that. But, the national security program side of this, the legacy program stuff, like to Xander's point, some of the things that I'm interested in, like really the main thing that I'm interested in is the concept where you have these off-books programs being run by these private contractors, and these private contractors, like they have stock like that you can buy and sell in the open market. So their financials, as part of the rules in our country, is like you have to post those financials, and they don't tell their investors that they're working on UFO stuff, even though it's now a matter of congressional record that at least Lockheed Martin is, claimed to be working on this stuff. So like Lockheed acknowledging that program does them no favors.
Hold on. Where are you getting that from? Lockheed acknowledged
from the
in a public...
No. So this was from the 2025 hearing. If you remember, George Knapp was asked by Luna if he could name contractors that were involved, and he volunteered. Well, he volunteered Ryder's name, yes, but then also one of the entities specifically working on UFO legacy program work being Lockheed Martin.
That's right.
Wow. Yeah, and that's where he called out Glenn Gaffney.
Yep.
Also.
Correct.
Which just seems like another interesting, easy person to get on the phone, right? Like, call him in. to the Oval
But he's
Office.
basically the Q of the U.S. intelligence community. He's like
He's
the
the
James
Q in
Bond guy.
In-Q-Tel.
Yeah, allegedly.
He put the Q in In-Q-Tel.
What about Pavel?
Pavel, what do you think? What's a partial post-disclosure world look like?
Man, I think that I still see a lot of influence in the religious groups right now within the United States government, and for me, that is going to play into it, the controlled aspect of it, because there's a majority of like Christian people in the country, and they decided to see it through that lens, and many of them have already made their minds of what this is. So I think that's going to be influential. I think also we can't discount whatever the tech bros companies are doing in this, how conspicuous they're being about the entire thing. I don't believe for a second that Elon and Peter Thiel and Palmer Luckey are not aware, at least, that something is going on already. And I don't believe for a second that they're not trying to do something to get their hands on some of this stuff. That is also going to play into it. So, but in terms of what they reveal, I think that if they do reveal something, they're going to feel more comfortable with the historical stuff that lacks a lot of evidence. They're going to probably acknowledge that maybe Roswell was real. I don't know if what Roswell was even, but they're probably going to acknowledge that, and they're going to stay away from the more recent stuff because that's what has a trace of evidence in it, and they don't want to get into that.
But would the idea, you guys think, be that as time goes on, that we would have a lag of maybe, so what you're saying is like they would go as far back as Roswell, but maybe it might be another 25 years before we find out what was happening in the mid 70s. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I disagree.
Would we ever learn this information, even if it was 50 years from now, is I guess what I'm getting at.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, if you look at the Pursue Files release, it's a little bit of both. Like you have historical files from, the 40s, like green fireballs from the late 40s, early 50s. But then also if there were some FBI field reports, because I think there was an FBI task force where they were actually going out and trying to see with their own eyeballs, like if this stuff was real or not. And some of those like range reports that they had where they were debriefing with FBI investigators. Mm-hmm. Yes. And that was a recent thing. I think that field investigation happened like early 2020s. And
December 2025, that was.
Oh, whoa. That's even
more
recent.
It was very recent. What I meant though, with the recent stuff is like the contractor stuff, the technology stuff. They're not going to want to talk about that right now. Probably not. And, but yeah, in terms of the orbs and all that, the orbs is like the easy one to probably convince people. These things are real. We don't know what they are. They're going to remain vague about it. I do disagree on the origin of the phenomenon. I don't think they can say that because I don't think anybody knows where a lot of this comes from, if I'm honest with you.
I wonder about that one. That's the one that I have real questions about.
It's under the water.
Well, this idea that we don't know. Oh my gosh, it's such a mystery. We really don't know. They could be interdimensional. Did you know that? They might be angels. They could be demons. No one really knows. It's a big mystery. We should really look into that. Get the fuck out of here. They know exactly who they're fucking dealing with.
I agree with you at this point.
They've got these motherfuckers on ice at a hangar someplace in an underground bunker. They've got Nordics. They've got Greys. They've got them all. And I don't believe for a second that they don't, because if they've got over a dozen crash retrievals and they're telling me over 12 ships showed up with nothing inside, I can't buy that. I don't trust these guys at all. And I think one last point. This is what's really been driving me crazy about disclosure in the last couple of months is that the conversation is getting further and further and further away from the others. Who the fuck is flying these things? Who's making them? What's the industrial base? We have to have some answers on that. And that's what David Grusch was trying to highlight. They have information on that. And all of this talk about woo and orbs, and maybe it's a plasma, some kind of weird plasma. We don't know. Something feels really weird about it. It's like leading us down this other road that leads nowhere. Instead of like, where is the facility? Where are the freezers? How many bodies are on ice? Where's the serial number? Who fucking signed it out? Where's the chain of custody? If we admit that Roswell was real, where's the shit that came inside that craft? Where is it? Where did it go? What's the chain of custody? Does that mean that Phil Corso was for real? And all the shit that is in Phil Corso's account of starting the program back in the under General Trudeau, is that true? Because now we've got a whole path to trace down, and I don't see how you can have half a disclosure without talking about that.
I think that's part of the issue that they're facing, and it's like they're trying to make this up as they go along. Because honestly, I think they see that the writing's on the wall, and as we've just seen with is it Annie Jacobson, like AI is not even there yet, and it's getting into the depths. It's like if somebody sent an email back in 1996 and accidentally mentioned a code word, ChatGPT knows it. Like,
yeah.
So wait until the AI just accidentally hacks the Pentagon.
We should probably
stupid.
ask ChatGPT about the whole Gary McKinnon interaction. That would be interesting.
Okay. So Gary McKinnon is another one. You've got Bob Lazar, who I feel pretty confident with, but I know the jury's always still out on that. But either we've got a well-developed reverse engineering program that had been well-funded for decades and decades and had made tremendous progress, or somebody's telling tales out of school. If we did have that program, and I believe we did, the amount of data that must exist in some classified database somewhere about who we're dealing with, where they're from, what is their technology level, what is their disposition, are there 4 different races, 10 different races, 100? How many do we have biological samples of? What are the differences between their technologies? What do we have ongoing contact? Dan Farah, in a recent interview on, what was the fucking podcast he was just on? He's on
in an Australian one, I think, right?
He said in this interview, he was like, look, in my documentary, they talk about the Holloman Air Force Base landing. And he sets this up he plays Blue's Clues. So he's saying it, but he's not saying it. He's saying, so they were saying that this is a real event that took place. Wouldn't it be interesting if that footage were to be released? You could have a guaranteed chain of custody. You would know that that is accurate footage that was generated from within our military at that time. Now, if that's true, and I'm not saying it is, this is just an inference or sort of I don't know, he was sort of reading between the lines. You get this from his phrasing here. And, but if it is true, then there was formal contact. It was face to face. There was an exchange that took place, and that contact is probably ongoing. That is a huge fucking deal. That is worth all the marbles. That's more important than the technology. No?
Way more important. Way more important.
Yeah,
if you can
absolutely.
plug into their culture, if you can get a direct line, a diplomatic relationship between us and a more advanced culture, and suddenly it's like we have relations with the Vulcans, and you could like ask them questions, and now you can talk about, okay, well, what is the situation out there?
So let me ask you something then. Say you're like part of these like chats at the top, like you got Farah in there, you got all the people in there, right? James Fox, all these guys.
Yeah.
Do you think that they may have knowledge that this footage actually exists? Maybe David Grusch told them that it exists, and they're like leading up to maybe releasing that, or because pretty much every UFO case that sounds outlandish, like that one, has like a lot of debate surrounding it, right?
Chris Mellon recently, I'm talking in the last 10 days, has said publicly, there was a Canadian show that's like the Canadian View that he was on. He was talking about,
oh yeah, with 2 ladies, right?
Yeah. And he says there is crystal clear 4K footage, if you want, of satellites looking down at UFOs, like in flight. We've got hours of footage of this shit. And he's been making this case for years now. And he said, look, the sensor suite that is available to us is beyond anything you can imagine. Of course, there's brilliant footage. It's all there. But we need to see it. And I think the question is, the big issue has been, how do you disclose? You can't be half pregnant. How do you say this without saying, okay, well, show us? Either you can't justify the $1 trillion+ defense budget because you can't get video of these things. And that makes no sense. That claim makes no sense. Or you do have it. And I think that that's where this is inevitably going to lead. It's going to be like, where's the Air Force on this? Where is that? Is your fucking domain. Where are the answers on how do we not know what these things are if we don't know? I don't think that's true. And where's the footage, the sensor data?
At the end of the day, disclosure hasn't happened. So I think you are right in the sense that there isn't a good answer to that right now, but there's still time to stall until perhaps something else happens that could mean we don't have to deal with it. They're probably just trying to play for time to some degree. And if they can do this very slow drip disclosure, which I believe we're probably in already, that's the way they're going to do it, because it means they don't have to say the big thing until 100 years from now. They've got 100 years of just dripping. We've got some pretty shitty images now coming from the. Well,
that's some weak ass bullshit ass disclosure.
Oh yeah, that's
you know
the
what
one
I'm saying?
you're
Like,
in, dude.
That's so stupid. Just get it over with. They're here. Okay, well, who are they? That's what I want to know, and I think that's what we all want. Who are they?
But I think that's every intention is for them to keep going with things the way they are at the end of the day. It's the easiest thing for them to do. It's the most cost-effective thing for them to do, because it means they can continue to funnel unlimited money into these programs and not get asked about it. They don't have to answer to anybody. They operate above international law. They're not going to change that.
That is such a reckless, shitty way to handle this situation.
Doom.
You know what I mean? If there is another civilization that has eyes on our planet, that is operating here, occupying bases in the ocean, which according to, we have this on good information that this is pretty accurate, and more or less, like, there is a group, or maybe different types of different beings that have different objectives operating here, that have different types of technology. Until you're having that conversation, we're not having disclosure at all. We're just looking at blurry photos. We're still looking at blurry photos. And I don't know if Lue Elizondo gets us closer to that conversation or farther away, until I guess he gets into the position. But here's one thing. I mean, are we throwing the baby out with the bathwater? If he gets in and there is a position of disclosure czar and it's Lue Elizondo, okay, well, now that position exists. The ball is moving further down the field. What happens when the next administration comes in and the one after that? Eventually, Lue won't be there, so it'll be someone else. Does that, getting the door a little bit open now, just wedging it a bit, getting our foot in the door, is that such a bad thing if it's Lue?
That's basically the main question I had earlier about this is why the way we choose whatever disclosure we choose is so important. I don't know Lue well enough. I can't get to his intent based on what he says, because he cannot answer questions. Therefore, I don't know if he's trying to lead us into that cul-de-sac that lasts for 100 years. Yeah. That's a big problem. But
if he's gone though in a few years and someone else steps into that role, and a subsequent administration with a different mindset comes in and they appoint someone else to that role, and that person might be more open to maybe it is David Grusch, at some point.
I'm sort of the opinion that once they've created the role, if they establish it in a certain direction, that's the direction it's probably going to stay in. And it's kind of the same with government in general. I don't personally think it matters who is in, left or right. Nothing really changes for a lot of people. And I think it's probably going to be the similar sort of case with this new position.
And we have to remember, though, in this effort, the one calling the shots is the White House, not Lue.
Yeah.
This is the other interesting dimension here, because Ross has highlighted the fact that Trump is really not keen on listening to anybody or following anyone's instructions or rules, and he's going to do his own thing. So he could very well call David Grusch into the room with Lue and sit them both down and say, guys, I need to know what's going on here. I could see that happening.
What do you think, Kermit?
That needs to happen if it hasn't happened already. Absolutely. I was gonna quip. Maybe Dr. Phil should be calling the shots here.
Sure.
Just like having an outsider, someone like a public figure. Because look, I'm not I'm not here to say like Team Lue, Team Grusch. I think both these individuals are courageous and like they're doing the right thing. We've talked about nuances with both, but in audits, like, so I come from the background of like accounting audit. So with audits, like you want to be independent when you do an investigation, like you want to be independent in fact and in appearance. So you don't want to like say like you don't want to have worked with the company within the past year or like maintain an active relationship. You don't want to have loans with the company that you're investigating. So I think with that, like, I do see the merits in having someone like, say, Grusch kind of take point on that. But as someone that needs to kind of take in all the evidence and make like an unbiased decision or opinion, maybe that should not be someone that has concluded one way or another, potentially. That might also cause some problems as well. But I just think we get into this situation where it's kind of like with Arrow, when you appoint an individual to run that office who was potentially in a position to like play protection. And so they end up in a situation where they are like auditing themselves or they're investigating themselves and they're like, oh, we found no evidence of anything. It's all good. I
have the solution. Richard Dolan should be the disclosure czar. Richard Dolan
works for me.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Who votes in the chat? Let's see who do you think? Is it Richard Dolan or should it be somebody else? If you have another idea in the chat, let us know.
Dolan, actually, hold on. I'm still Team Phil on this one. Dolan can definitely be on the board. Like
Dr.
Phil.
He can be
Dolan's definitely one of the SMEs, subject matter experts.
What do you guys make of Dr. Phil being such a vocal talking head on this disclosure thing? Is he just chasing likes and clicks, as Lou likes to say, or is he playing a bigger role here?
He has a direct line to Trump, bro. That's proven. Like,
is he softening up?
Just
the
today,
public?
he said that he's already talking to the White House about the impact that this may have, and that he wants it to be released little by little, not all at once, because it may have a psychological impact. I'm happy that somebody called him out recently on his show for like disparaging experiencers. That was good because he seems to be very uninformed about what goes on with experiencers, and I think he needs to read up on the history of that a lot. But yeah, I think he has direct access to Trump. He's talking to him, it seems like, constantly about this. Yeah.
I'm putting this up. This is a report from the Disclosure Foundation that just got published the other day. Oh, wow. The psychological impact of UAP NHI disclosure, a framework for understanding public response and preparedness. And I just thought it was interesting as you were talking. I pulled this up because Dr. Phil just put out an episode of his podcast, which I just had it pulled up on my screen, but it's something like this. It's like, what was it called? Let's see. Disclosure. Oh, come on, Dr. Phil. Oh, he's got 6 million videos, but his podcast just launched, and he's talking about the psychological impact of disclosure on the population, more or less the same topic. And it's the timing. Seems interesting to me. Dr. Phil could be just doing it for the fact that it's a hot topic, but I also feel like it makes sense that you would start to recruit certain people to start spreading the information around and softening them up for something more serious when it comes. And Dr. Phil makes sense. He's familiar. Everybody knows who he is.
I don't think Dr. Phil is doing it so he can get even more famous. No. I think he's cool. He's cool no matter what.
Yeah.
But absolutely. It could be a consequence of a friendship with the commander in chief. In fact, I think it is probably that, if I'm being honest. I don't know enough about him. He's more of an American kind of figure, isn't he? But I don't even know. He may have been into ufology quite heavily before all of this. I don't know.
He's been into it for a while. It's not like
yeah.
He hasn't just started doing it, but what's interesting to me is that he's very publicly vocal about his connection to the administration, and the early access that he's getting to Pentagon releases. They're giving it to Dr. Phil first. He's making some assessments, then he's talking about it. So he's got early access and a direct line to the president. That's interesting. And he is kind of going full time on this alien thing lately on his podcast. And it seems to track along with some of the things that we saw Carl Nell talk about at the Soul Symposium years ago, that there's going to be a process of things that are going to have to take place. Eventually, you'll have to bring in certain personalities that are able to help prepare the public and digest the message for them a little bit, help them understand, navigate it. And it seems like a very likely possibility. I could imagine a scenario where somebody from the administration, or maybe Trump personally, was like, hey, we're going to do this thing and it's going to be pretty crazy, Phil.
Yeah.
What do you think? You think people are going to go crazy? Huh? Oh yeah, sir. Yeah, I'll get out there. Maybe they just recruited him to go out there or maybe he knows. I think he does.
Here's a thought for you, because Trump is he's a television personality, and it's widely reported that, during his prior administration and his current one, he just watches news coverage. He watches all the interviews. Like, he just got Fox News up all the time. So perchance, maybe Trump and his administration is watching Dr. Phil and kind of this rollout of his episodes and what he's saying about this. And to your point, like checking in with Dr. Phil of like, oh yeah, well, what do you think about this? And kind of like, where does the public kind of lie after his videos come out? Because I think him speaking out, like, I think he has like a sense of trust, I think, within like general population, if you will. Like, it's Dr. Phil. Like, he's a name brand kind of person, TV guy. He's a person that some people trust. I don't trust anyone, but I think that's why he was kind of called out. But I don't know. All this is to say, I think him being allowed inside access by the executive, it kind of goes back to this like half pregnant disclosure that's kind of played out. Because even with the announcement of like waiving NDAs for contractors and government employees, well, there was no like official, there was no official order or press release from the White House. It was just a Fox News article. I know there's been some confusion on like
Department of War people have confirmed it though on official channels.
For sure. Yes, they have. But I know at least when that was first announced, there was some confusion on like how substantive that order or that directive really was. And then meanwhile, it's like, okay, well, you're not really seeing anything being posted publicly from the White House, but then they're bringing Dr. Phil in, they're going to form this council, but like they haven't officially announced it yet. So again, it's like, you can't be half pregnant, and this could be very easy to solve if they actually like dedicated real resources to it. But frankly, like, if I can just speculate what's going on in the White House here, I think that, there's 20 different issues that they got going on. I think Stephen Miller, the deputy chief of staff, he's kind of the guy running point on this. I think he's working with Burleson and the UAP task force people, but there's a lot of other things going on. And like, I kind of remember JD's comments on Rogan where he's like, I'm not going to sit down and deal with something until I actually have to. And, I guess unless
you're
like,
in charge,
unless we have like a, just like if we have like some crazy leak or some, strategic surprise, or it actually becomes a problem, then I think you'd see real resources dedicated and like a serious, sober conversation. But I think that would be like catastrophic disclosure, which is, I think, what we're trying to avoid, because it's like now they're just reacting and they're trying to, cover their ass in this kind of situation.
Has the term catastrophic disclosure had any traction at all in the last couple of months, last year? I haven't heard it.
Not recently.
That was
Neither
like a
have
little
I.
blip. I wonder if are we in the catastrophic disclosure timeline or the other one?
Well, I'm still waiting for Greer's SEAL team to take over S4. That's any day now.
Supposedly, Stephen Greer has been sitting on all these answers this whole time, and he could have cleared all this stuff up.
Can I just say something real quick on the strike teams? So I remember when I first really got into like researching this thing on reading rooms, FOIA requests, Reddit, social media, etc. I remember I saw this one file where it was a timeline of all these different locations and facilities, and then presumably the times that they were going to raid the facilities. This was most of these were dated, if I remember, for like June of last year, and I don't think they raided Area 51. That was one of the sites.
I don't think they did, yeah.
It was like 12 pages. It was like an Excel document that was printed to PDF, and I'm scrolling through it, and I'm like, what? This is there's so many. There's no way the alien program's this big. Like this is ridiculous. So
we're 12 minutes past our normal 2-hour runtime. Do you guys have a couple minutes? Do you want to stick around and do some audience questions, or do you want to?
Yeah, we can do some
I'm
audience
good.
questions. Do we want to say any last sort of words on Lue? Because certainly, like, as I said, I don't think we've been that hard on him, but
I
it's
actually
important to
unfortunately have to bounce. I'm getting called outside, so I gotta.
Is it Keanu and Dan? Are they those guys? You gonna hang out with them?
Yeah, we're gonna actually talk about a movie idea I had. So just
Going
real
to the
quick,
Yard House.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's like basic. So I don't know if you guys know this, but Roswell, New Mexico is now huge fracking country. So the picture or the idea of it is like looking at oil workers that are setting up a well, and they like see some weird stuff, and then they accidentally drill into a deep underground military base. And then the third act is just like the black SUVs pull up. There's like a craft that pops out of the ocean or the ground. They're in the middle of New Mexico. There's no ocean out there.
This probably happened, by the way.
Allegedly. Based on a true story.
Based on a true story. All right, Kermit. Thanks for coming and hanging out with us, man. This is fun. You got to come back.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Happy Friday,
well,
y'all.
Say hi to Dan and
Happy
Keanu,
Friday.
and yeah, let them know.
I will.
Send them our regards.
Peace,
Bye,
y'all.
See you
Kermit.
later.
See
See you
ya.
later. Do you want me to kick you, or I want to kick you?
You
I'm
can.
gonna kick you. You go. Okay.
All right.
I love Kermit. He looks like he plays tennis, and I know he does play tennis, but he looks like he plays tennis.
Looks like he enjoys it too.
Yeah.
I think that's more important.
That or drunken golf with his buddies too.
Oh yeah, I can't read this, but
Great.
Oh,
Thanks.
that's the
Cthulhu.
yeah, that's the language of Tlutlu.
I just wanted to say like one thing about Lue, and even though I am sort of friends with Gerb, and I believe what Gerb says, and at this point I do believe Lue was in the legacy program. Like, I don't think he's denied it strongly enough. If he has denied it, I haven't seen it. But
He's denied it at all.
That doesn't mean like I'm against Lue in any fashion. Like Kermit just said, like he believes that he's a good person as well. Like, I do as well. Like, I haven't seen any evidence to the contrary, but there are a lot of questions about Lue, and I think it's fair to request answers for those before we give you the keys to disclosure in a way. Like, if you're asking to lead the charge, sell it to us rather than just sort of, it's a bit of a trust me bro right now. And I think we're owed a little bit more if we're to give, if he's to take hold of this in any sort of official capacity.
Do you think that's even possible? He's saying he can't do that because he's still got all these NDAs. So like the only obstacle now is a waiver from the president.
That,
seems like.
or he doesn't do it. And if that's the case, then yeah, I think that's a reasonable request. Nobody's going to listen to me. I'm a foreign asset. and they don't listen to their own citizens. So whatever happens is going to happen, but I don't assume that because he's going to take that position that everyone should now, believe everything he says, and sort of he just because he's going to be officially the leader of the movement doesn't mean he's going to be leading us.
Yeah, I don't know that it's necessarily going to lead to a 100-year cul-de-sac if Lue is the disclosure czar. I'm happy that there is a disclosure czar. I think that if we're trying to stay positive and keep a growth mindset, then look at how far we've come. And surely the questions will will flow. Once some form of disclosure happens, it's going to continue to be pressure to release more and more information. And this is going to be, once, we're already at the stage where this is a real thing now. It's going to have to come up during the presidential election. It'll have to come up during the debates. This is going to have to be more of an issue going forward than it's been in the past. And that's a success.
Yep.
So,
And, plans change all the time. Maybe the intention right now is to stay controlled in the name of national security, but things can change. I don't know. But I'm just saying, if there's questions, I think it's okay to ask them. Even if they're difficult questions, we should be allowed to ask them. If Lue was in the legacy program, we should be allowed to ask him if he was in the legacy program. And if he doesn't want to answer, then I think that means something in terms of how we should trust him in a way.
I think I would just, to put a extra stroke on that, I would just say that we can ask him. We have asked him. He has been asked, and he has not denied. He's just evaded answering the question directly, which is basically, it tells you what you need to know, I think. But I think I would flip it and say, I think Lue's expectations are unrealistic about how the people in the UFO community, whatever he thinks that is, the UFO community isn't like one little group. It's people from all walks of life with all these different backgrounds and education levels and careers, and it's everyone. It's all of us. How many people are interested in UFOs? Most people. So when he says the UFO community, I want to destroy ufology and replace it with something else. What are you talking about? We are the people that you need to answer to. That's who's listening to you, is the UFO community. So if you're going to be angry at someone, don't be angry at us. Like, we're just trying to make sense of it all. And it's a very confusing topic. And it has been deliberately funded and this misinformation effort for years. So, we're working against the tide to try and understand something. And he's pointing his finger and saying like, oh, well, this is something we need to destroy and replace. And he's also saying, don't listen to anyone else, only listen to me. That's problematic. He has to understand that you can't have it both ways. You can't not answer anyone's question and be angry that they continue to ask, or we'll listen to someone else who does have answers.
And also say, but trust me.
Trust me, that guy's lying. Okay. I guess. I don't, that's why, in the chat, people are saying, well, you guys are friends with Gerb, and this is, it calls your objectivity into question. And I don't disagree with you, but at the same time, I would say, like, well, we know this guy. I mean, I know his character. I know, we've gone to In-N-Out and had burgers and fries, and like, we talk about stuff. And so I have a sense of who I'm dealing with. With Lue, I don't have that same sense, so I can't judge them fairly against one another. But I just,
and also the mischaracterization of Gerb from Lue, because we know Gerb and we know how he interacts with people.
Yeah,
he said a lot of false statements about Gerb and about his character.
Yeah,
that's what threw me off, to be honest with you. It wasn't really the whole threat thing that potentially he's going to get to something legal or anything. Like, that shit can happen because people feel like they slander them. But for me, it was the emasculation attempt from Lue. That's what
that was
like,
silly,
dude.
It was silly.
Gerb is not like that. Why are you mischaracterizing him?
Maybe I'm prepared to give him the benefit of the doubt and say maybe that's just how he read the situation. Fine,
it's possible, yeah.
But how about, okay, Lue, if you're seeing this clip, you went to the same high school, I think, as Clint. How about you guys go and get a burger? Like, get in touch. Take Clint for a burger. If you want,
we'll go to the Columbia, which is the restaurant his dad used to own, which is on the Key, not far from where I live. And we can sit down at the Columbia and we'll talk about it. He's not going to tell me anything.
Just have a burger, and then we can learn, Clint can learn your character. How about that? I think that's a reasonable thing.
I would go to Ramsey's Diner with Lue.
Yeah.
I don't think I'll have that opportunity, but I would totally do it. But Here, hey, we've got a question from the chat, and this one's for you, Xander. Retro 1236 wants to know, after hanging out with Corbell, what's your honest opinion of him? Is he honest with his claims, and are he and Knapp not sponsored by the government? Sorry to give you a difficult question, Xander.
No, it's not. No, he's a total dickhead. No, I'm joking. He's really nice. Again, people are going to say I'm biased because I consider him a friend. Honest opinion of him, he gets very excited. I think that's okay to be excited. He works insanely hard.
Mm-hmm.
He never stops working, and that would send me crazy. But yeah, he manages it incredibly well. He's got a very sharp memory, doesn't forget things. He is being honest with everything that he says, or at least I believe he's being honest. And obviously, no, I don't believe him and Knapp are in any way affiliated with a government disclosure of any kind. Simple as that.
Good answer. Let's see here. Who else do we have? Balthazar Strategic Arcana says, this drama between Elizondo and Gerb is serving the guiding hands interests. What do you guys make of that this infighting is what they are after anyway?
Do not disagree.
I don't disagree either.
Yeah, I agree. In fact, I will quote something that Corbell said to me while I was abducted by him after contact. He said, everything we're watching right now, everywhere, is just a hall of mirrors.
Mm.
And he meant that in the most literal sense, that it is confusing by design. Everyone is supposed to be confused by this. If you're confused, it means it is working, basically.
Does he ever did he ever express to you like what it would take? Like what would his ideal form of disclosure look like? How far would we go back? What would we see? If Jeremy and George could flip a switch and get the type of disclosure that they would like, what would that look like?
I think they want and I didn't ask him this specifically, but this is just the sense that I get. I think he wants the technology to be used for the benefit of everyone, and I think he believes that the fundamental truths of reality would be best served in the benefit, like make it public domain, because it's fundamentally about who we are, and that's probably the most important question to answer and to share as well.
This is like the earlier comment about the shred and burn parties that they were talking about, these documents. What if some of those documents are the same documents that Bob Lazar looked at? What if it's about containers? You know, what that means.
You're talking about Project Aquarius documents?
Well, I'm talking about any documents. I mean, I'm just using the example of Bob Lazar talked about seeing a bunch of different things. And we have, according to David Grusch, after Bill Clinton made a push to get disclosure to happen, they started burning a lot of evidence, like a lot of these different groups that were in charge of various aspects of whatever. And so the point being that there's evidence, there's recorded evidence that has been established over many, many years of taxpayer-funded research, and they're destroying it. Mm-hmm. So what are we losing? What information did we have that we don't have because somebody's trying to cover their ass?
Yeah.
And how far, that's what I'm saying. Like the amount of catching up that we may have to do. Are they setting us back 100 years by destroying evidence that would have put us on a footing where civilian scientists could come into this and have a corpus of knowledge that had already been pre-established, that they could use as a foundation to build a more robust response and understanding of what we're dealing with and how we deal with it?
Well, just
or
imagine...
are all scientists around the world expected to just start from scratch with fuzzy lights in the sky and figure it out? You know what I mean?
Well, just imagine if every reference to us being containers, or I don't know, any indication that the human mind is more than just the brain. What if all of references to that in any past material were destroyed purely because along with it came incriminating evidence? So that's a fundamental truth about what it means to be human, lost forever for the sake of covering someone's back. Now that is like one of the worst crimes I think you could do.
Yeah, what if they were like, we established firmly that all humans have deep-rooted telepathic abilities, but the way that we had to figure that out was torture kids for 30 years.
Yeah,
and
so they have to get rid of all of it. That's it.
Yeah, so now we've got to destroy all that, and we'll never have accountability for the children involved or the families or the people or whatever. None of that's going to happen, and you lose all this information. We're just going to sweep it under the rug.
That would be incredibly sad.
That would be... Wax Absurd, thanks for the question, says, what I don't get is the 2023 NDAA included limited protections for whistleblowers of secret UAP programs, enabling Grusch to come out. Was Elizondo not involved in the creation of this? If not, who?
It's not a question for me. I think, Pavel, if anyone's going to know it, it's you.
The 2023 NDAA.
So can you put it back on?
Sorry, here it is.
Okay, so according to what I know, that NDA was involved. The 2023 one, Carl Nell was involved in that one, and
yes,
I think that the current protections don't include off the books retaliations, which is what they're currently fighting to get in. As far as I'm aware, Burleson is probably the only one who's trying to get some of that passed, so whistleblowers can be more, can feel more protected. But right now, as it stands, there isn't any protection against off the books sort of stuff, and I have no knowledge of Elizondo being involved in it. I don't know if he is.
And off the book stuff that we're talking about is like literally people in cars harassing, following whistleblowers around, tapping their phones, breaking into their houses,
killing their dogs.
Or in Black Hawk helicopters too.
Helicopters flying, helicopters over the. Yeah, I mean, this is what happens to these folks, and there's no protection against that. So you can, even if you have protection, and you can come out from behind your NDAA and make some statements, or you blow the whistle and you try to get whistleblower protections. That doesn't prevent them from sending spooks
at the end of the day.
And let's be clear, though.
Sorry, go ahead.
The fact that they don't, because somebody made this argument to me. It's like, if they wanted them dead, they would be dead now.
Yeah.
That may be true, but
murder has been illegal for a long time.
We live in the internet era. It's not as easy to make somebody disappear right now as it was when there was no internet. And also, I don't know about you guys, but it feels like, to me, those are scare tactics that they're using, which is fucking bullshit. They want to make them feel like their life is in danger, but from that to actually doing something and making them disappear, that would be something that I would be very surprised by. The times that it happened, I think that one of the most recent times that happened was with Mark McCandlish, and McCandlish was supposed to meet with Marco Rubio before he passed away. Mm-hmm. So that I think would be one of the reasons why Marco Rubio is going to be tight-lipped about this, unless some kind of meaningful legislation passes.
Here's what's interesting about Rubio too, is that you have Rubio who's on record acknowledging that this is a real problem. Like, he's on camera, he's made statements on this. Tucker Carlson also, same thing. He's had people on his podcast. He's talked about this deeply. Both of them are going to be contenders for the Republican ticket in the next election. So what you're going to have at least two guys who are on record, and then JD Vance on record. So at least in terms of the Republicans, the most likely, three of the most likely people who are going to be running for the nomination of the party in the next election are all publicly on record acknowledging the NHI reality. That's crazy. We've never been in this position before. This is the closest it's ever been is like, oh yeah, Bill Clinton's into it. Yeah. Isn't that weird? I mean, just imagine.
I think the conversation over the next few years is gonna explode onto onto the main stage at this point.
I'd keep my eyes on the next election. Pat Burlington, Doomers rise up. Thank you.
And also I know we've talked about it quite a lot already tonight, but the advent of AI and the power that's bringing, it's no surprise to me whatsoever that this is happening now. Because they want to keep it secret for as long as possible, but today, more than ever, it's very difficult to keep those secrets. AI will make connections. Gerb is good at making those connections, right? He can convince me with a very high level of accuracy with just one YouTube video of the validity of the claim that he's making. AI is gonna take that to another. AI is just gonna make connections that we cannot even imagine right now.
That Annie Jacobson clip really surprised me, but once she explained it, it makes sense. If it's all in there, it's all in there in the super brain. Gerb, when I was watching the Ross interview to get ready for today, and I'm listening to him talk, and this is again like for people who haven't had the chance to talk to Gerb face to face, it just strikes me like when you're talking to him, he talks like Commander Data on Star Trek. He just comes at you with so much information, and if it's so stream of consciousness and so like directed right at your brain that if you are not 100% focused on exactly what he's talking about, you can't keep up. If you lose one step, you fall out of the whole conversation. It's really miraculous. He is like,
shout out to Dylan Borland, who's in the chat again.
Hey. Dylan. Dylan, we'll stick around for an extra 5 minutes if you want to pop on and say hello. I will, for sure.
I think it's best for him to just not engage in the whole drama thing,
Flores MH says, Lue is the most unhinged intel guy ever, and it is very weird to say the least, but please comment on Dolan's response video. Seems the only reasonable one here between Gerb, idolatry, and Lue bashing my guilty pleasure. Well, I don't know that no one here is like, it's not Gerb idolatry. We're just being honest. He's a friend and, he's a nice guy. We're not saying everything he says is 100% true. We don't know. I think we're being very upfront with that. But has anyone seen Dolan's response video?
I have.
Of course.
What'd you make of it, Pavel?
Well, it's a basic, those claims are very controversial and strong. Let's see the evidence of them, which I think it's a fair request from Dolan. He was very complimentary of Gerb and also Elizondo, but it's I think that my bottom line of this entire thing is that I think there needs to be some kind of a response from Grusch. He doesn't have to name Lue or name the issue right here. He just has to probably do that interview that he hasn't maybe recorded yet with Jake Tapper on CNN.
Yeah.
And release some of the evidence to some of these claims, because the whole James Clapper thing, he was one of the first people to talk about it in a big platform. So I would guess that a good idea to support what's been happening here is to just present whatever he has on that, like actual paperwork or trail,
the last we heard from Grusch was on the steps of the Capitol building a few weeks ago when he made that, they did that press conference, which was, I haven't heard him do any public statements since then. Has he? I don't think so. Babs954, why don't you discuss the Vegas aliens of May 2023? Pavel's channel member. Thanks, Babs. Pavel? Why don't you
good
discuss
old fashioned?
I did discuss them with Christian Harloff when it all went down. We did talk about it. I just haven't followed up on the case because it's way too much of a blurry video and a lot of pareidolia when they're trying to do measurements and all this stuff. Nothing substantial, really. So when it's that hard to pin down, I usually don't touch the case. But it would be easy for me to just go like aliens in Miami, and get a bunch of views and get 200,000 followers and all that shit. But when it's just hard to pin down. I can't.
Paper Bullets, great name. Rogan asking Diana a question and then immediately interrupting her with an ad for a wiener pill was the easily the craziest thing I've seen all week. Oh, that's a great one.
Yeah, you could sense Rogan's frustration there.
About what? About Pasulka?
Yeah, we saw it also in the Ross Douthat interview on the New York Times. She can't really say a lot of what she knows, and people who interview her know this. So there's been a couple of times, ones with Ross Douthat and ones with Rogan, where they get frustrated because she's trying to dance around what she can't say and is trying to like walk him through, grab him by the hand, and they're like, just say the thing, like. And I get it, but you know, she's promoting a book. She has to do the rounds to get that book sold. But yeah, she got a glimpse of what goes on behind the scenes. She's trying to separate herself from that and just focus on the work. But when you go on Rogan, you're going to be asked about that, obviously.
Is Joe Rogan compromised?
Nah.
He's just frustrated, as most of us are.
Filet of Soul asked a good question, a good request. I don't think Dylan should come on and talk about it right now, but I would be interested in his response if he wanted to like tweet it or whatever. We've all talked about what we think our legacy program controlled disclosure would look like. I've described it as sort of the cul-de-sac of no return, where we get ushered into a little place where we can be kept safe whilst they basically just carry on doing what they're doing. Pavel had his, Kermit had his. I'd be interested in what Dylan thinks that would look like as well. A question for another time, but
and
I know
Matt
Dylan's
too.
watching,
Matt,
so.
I'd like to know.
Yeah, literally everyone. That's just a really good question. Like, I really want everyone to say what they think that looks like, because as well, if we stare it in the face, it might give us a kick up the ass to say, no, we ain't having that.
Well, and this is the thing, right? Like, as much infighting as there can be in this community from time to time, it is also easy to just ignore a lot of that. You don't have to get in the mud and get into these arguments back and forth with people. But what is inspiring to see is the leadership, right? Like, Dylan is a leader. He's stepping forward and he's doing the hard thing that no one else wants to do, and he's putting himself at great personal risk, and it's extremely uncomfortable to do. Matt Brown, same thing. These are people who are stepping forward, and a lot of them are the youthful energy. There's a lot of young energy here pushing this thing forward into another layer of this conversation. We're finally getting past some of this stigma and into a new space where we can have these open conversations about it. And I think that whether it's, Grusch or Lue or whatever, I mean, the number of people that have come forward over the last few years and started pushing this conversation ahead is tremendous, and that is exciting. And I think that we should be very proud as a community that we are holding it together as good as we are. It's like, look how far we've come. This is amazing.
I do think we should stop arguing, but it is a good thing that Duma Friday's back. Like,
yep.
Now the community can heal. It's all good now.
This is what happens when we take a break.
I do miss Dan though.
We need Dan back there.
Yeah. He's back in like the next couple of weeks or something, I think.
He's solving crimes. Let him be.
He's solving crimes. That's right. Okay, guys. Well, any last thoughts before we wrap it up? What's coming up on Dreamland?
Today. Yeah, I'm I noticed the carrot documents are doing the rounds again, so I did like a whole episode on them basically.
Do you want to tease the episode? You've got 1,700 people in here.
It was an episode I wanted to just be an hour long, mainly because I was a little bit like short of time this week, but it ended up being 90 minutes. It is probably the deepest dive that you could possibly do on the documents themselves and the story that surrounds them, how they came about and things like that. So that's tonight.
And what for people who don't know, tell them is significant about these documents?
You know I'm really bad at advertising. You know this,
I know.
don't you?
I'm
That's
trying to
why you
help.
make me do it. So the Carrot documents were put online as a response to a bunch of sightings that took place in California in 2007. And then, somebody posted online basically saying, oh, I know what those were. And he released the Carrot documents, which are commercial applications, research for extraterrestrial technology. So it was basically a program running out of a lab in California. A lab that nobody knows if it exists or not, really. And yeah, it's about recovered technology, the kind of technology it employs, and some very interesting concepts that I've managed to sort of tie into the rest of ufology. So,
Was this, tell me if I'm wrong here, was this the effort that was trying to basically set up a Silicon Valley type tech firm that could innovate at the speed of a Silicon Valley tech company, but with UAP derived technology? Am I describing?
So it would definitely had like a working the laboratory that Isaac who is the name of the person that uploaded the documents. He described the working conditions of the lab as well.
Yeah.
And yeah, he said it was set up. Basically, he talked about it being very similar to this very famous campus in California. The name's sort of evading me at the moment, but that's since been taken control of by SRI, which is where Stargate was. So slightly interesting, but it's not the same lab. But he's saying the lab he was working in was very similar to the lab, basically, just down the road.
Dreamland Motel, guys, go there. Subscribe if you haven't. And Pavel, what's coming up on Psicoactivo?
Oh, next week I got 2 interviews finally all set up. On Tuesday, I'm gonna have Dr. John Blitch back on the show. He's a little pissed off at the lack of response to experiencers and abductees, and he wants to just talk about it a little bit. And on Thursday, I'm having Nathaniel Gillis on the show, who is mistakenly touted as a demonologist. He's not a demonologist. He studies the phenomenon, and he thinks that there is a negative aspect of it. But people like to create labels for folks that they don't know.
Sure.
And we're going to talk about that. I'm going to ask him a lot of different questions of his views on this whole thing. I also made a mistake to think that he was coming from a religious standpoint. He's not. He's very much into the whole Charles Fort aspect of phenomenology in general. That it's not all good. Some of it is manipulative. Some of it is bad, and I can't wait to talk about that with him.
Oh, that's going to be great, man. I'm excited to see that. All right, guys. Well, go there. Subscribe, Psicoactivo on YouTube. And subscribe to this channel. If you're not already subscribed, subscribe. We're 60 people away. We're just knocking on the door of 50,000 subscribers. We're at 49,940. If 60 people hit subscribe right now, it would change the whole world. And we would get disclosure immediately. So thanks, guys, in advance for doing that. Thanks for watching the show. Thanks for participating in our chat. Thanks to everybody who gave us a super chat today. Your support is worth more than you know. It is what makes it possible for us to come here and do this. And believe it or not, YouTubing about aliens is not the money machine that you might think it is. So every little bit helps. And we really do appreciate all the support. And you can thank yourselves and give yourselves a good pat on the back for helping us get this far, because we have come so very far in such a short period of time. So thank you to everyone for the support over the months and years as we continue to explore this very weird, very strange question of who the fuck is out there, what the fuck are they doing, and when the fuck are they going to tell us?
Oh, they know.
Please go to teamnightshift.com. If you are so inclined, you can help us out by subscribing to our coffee line. It's the coffee I've been drinking this whole episode. And you kick in about $20 a month to us and support the show. And we send you a bag of awesome, amazing Night Shift coffee once a month. It's an awesome thing, a great way to celebrate and support the show. And that's it for us. We'll see you again next week. Thanks for watching. Keep looking up. Take care of yourselves. And be safe out there, guys.